Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Playoffs started last night. They started last night. And overtime hockey against that team, my mouth tastes like my heart. My heart was in my mouth last night. Overtime hockey is terrifying. The whole thing. But
not for the Panthers.
Against that team? No, but against that team, I'm scared of Stamkos. He hit Bobrovsky in the face with a shot and knocked the straps off his mask.
I believe the Panthers have won 11 in a row overtime playoff games. Not scary for the Panthers. That's where they're most comfortable.
They've been fun the last couple of years in overtime. But before we get to that, I have to address the tension that's in the room. Jessica walked in today not knowing how to feel because of the awkwardness at the end of yesterday's show where Jeremy is arguing passionately on behalf of Heat stuff and annoying everybody, but kind of right. And Mike Ryan is arguing passionately on the other extreme and
annoying everyone,
and kind of right. And so Jessica walked in a little bit shell-shocked today.
That's accurate. They're both annoying, but they both made good points, I think. And I also I saw Ryan Cortez going after Mike Ryan, which I think is a point in Mike Ryan's favor. So I'm not really sure what to do with all of this. I'm hoping maybe Zaslow can give us some help as someone who's totally neutral on Miami sports.
The CEO of CNN will not be helping us today, but Zaslow will be.
Close enough.
It is close enough, but I was going to sort of introduce him as the idea of, so you've got all of this emotional frenzy around the Heat. Let's bring in a voice of reason, one of the biggest Heat homers of my entire lifetime, one of the people who was born in the fire of I've loved the Heat since Eric Reed started broadcasting for them, and I'm grateful for the last 15 years of Heat basketball because they're your favorite thing. I should tell the audience that Zaslow is a radio legend in South Florida. And no one, I don't think, in radio down here is more closely associated with that team than he is. But you're not fair and reasonable about these things. How do you feel about Mike Ryan? Mike Ryan was getting attacked at the Panther game yesterday because he called Jimmy Butler washed.
Jimmy Washer.
Okay, that was worse.
Freudian slip there from Dan. We know his stance now.
Jimmy Butler is washed, and then he'd say to people, well, I said washed comparatively. Which is just
he did. I saw it in the clip.
Mean, but come on. But Cody also said you got to dynamite the team, and then he said dynamite it strategically, which is not the way you dynamite. It's not the way you dynamite a team. So who's right here, Zaslow? We're one game in. I don't believe anyone's got the Heat having a real chance of any kind. I don't hear anybody anymore saying for a second that, something can be figured out here so that the Miami Heat can win this series. Most people do not believe the Heat will win a single game.
Well, that's not. I can tell you, I'm guaranteeing you right now, they will not get swept. All right? Put that down. I'll go on the record. They are not getting swept. Put it down.
Put it down.
Mark it down.
Mark it down.
That's on the record.
On the record. He didn't go off the record there. On the record.
Sometimes you got to go on the record. I am on the record. They are not getting swept. Now, I did put out on Twitter, because, you got to go on the record, and I put out my picks. I did have the Heat winning in 4, all right? That's obviously out the window. Do with that what you will. But they're not going to get swept this series. I'm very down on Mike Ryan. I got to be honest. I'm very down on him because, and you know what? I feel a little bit bad because he's not here to defend himself. So I feel like I'm talking behind his back, but it's whatever.
We're a big show. It'll get back to him.
Okay, good. All right. He comes off like an ingrate. He does. He comes off sounding like an ingrate. We're not exactly long-suffering Miami Heat fans, okay? We're not the Sacramento Kings. We're not the LA Clippers, who have never even been to a conference final in the last 5. Do you understand that the last 5 years, this has been the second best stretch in the history of the organization? That's not an opinion. That's a fact. The last 5 years have been the second best stretch in the history of the organization.
Topped only by the LeBron years.
That's right. 2011 to 14 is the only stretch.
It's been marked down. Tony marked it down. It's been marked down.
Put it down, Zaz.
Let me
Heat
just
not
make
getting
sure you're
swept.
quoting me accurately.
Yeah.
Heat not getting. I mean, I threw in like a guarantee there, but that's okay.
I'll write that down. Hold on.
Yeah. All
You
right.
sound more like Mike Ryan's impression of you than you sound like you to me.
Is this the first time that I've been here that she's been here too? Because I like Jessica, so I'm glad that she's here.
Oh.
But I feel like this is the first time that she's been here to make a statement like
I
that,
think
right?
you're right.
She's only been in the presence of the fake Zaslow, and you do sound more like Mike Ryan's impersonation of you
This is
than
awesome.
how I remember you sounding. Were you indignant as Jeremy? Jeremy just popped in. He wasn't working today.
yeah, there he
He
is.
wasn't here when the show started.
What you just said, Zaslow, made me float in here. It felt incredible.
I was whispering sweet nothings into your ear out there, and you
This
came
was
running
sensual
in.
for me, yeah.
Yes.
What do you want to say to the people here? The tension. This is the tension that I have. And you guys have to understand the homerism that we're talking about in Zaslow. Zaslow just saw that Paul Pierce is on the show today, and just
please.
like Mike Ryan, he said, I'm boycotting that. I'm not doing that. He's thrilled to be on the show with us. Billy, what are you laughing
We
at?
have a bunch of cowards, let's say.
I needed help.
A bunch of people that talk bad about Paul Pierce, and as soon as Paul's around, no one wants to talk to him.
I mean, I don't. Yeah. Why would I want to talk to him? I'll never talk
Legend
to him.
of the game, NBA champion.
No.
Tony, those are solid. You
He's
did
not
that.
a
Tony,
legend of the
you've
game.
never
He
been
was
so
on Stars
efficient
on
with your
Mars.
words.
No. I don't know what time he's coming on. I know I will not be in here
Why not?
because I have no interest in ever talking to him.
Why?
There is no scenario in my life that I would talk to Paul Pierce. It is what it is.
What if you
truth.
were dying and you needed him to live?
He doesn't have family members? Where do I come into the picture if he's dying? Where's your family and friends?
No, you're dying.
You're
You're dying,
dying,
and he
You're
can help.
dying. You need help.
You fell in
you're
a
at
well.
the bottom of a well.
We're somehow in like 1850s America. You
And-
fell
and-
into a
and-
well.
And it's on Paul Pierce's property.
Baby
I mean, I would yell to him, go get help. Go get help.
Well, then you
Not
talk
you.
to him.
Go get help.
You'd rather die than have him save your life.
I would. I have nothing to do with Paul Pierce. Get the heck out of
Zaz, are we locked in here? Can you just double check my work here?
Let me see. Heat not getting swept, guaranteed.
I
Yeah,
needed
that's
help.
good enough.
As you can see, the
Yeah.
other guaranteed is spelled differently. Or
Okay.
spelled with a different
Tony
say
announced,
handwriting.
Yeah.
Jeremy, help me with that.
I
have
have
trouble with that
a
one.
difficulty
That's
with
on the record right there.
I have
There it
difficulty
is.
with the word guaranteed.
Yeah.
Spelling it. So I had Jess help me.
We're good, man. I feel good about that. No,
That's a lame rallying call. We're not going to get swept, I guarantee. it.
okay, but that's only because everybody thinks we're gonna lose by 30. I mean, Kendrick Perkins the other day. I'm beefing with Kendrick Perkins, by the way. Kendrick Perkins the other day goes on television. If the Heat shoot 100% from the field and 100% from three, they're still getting swept. By the way, that's redundant because if you're 100% from the field, you're also 100% from three. Got to point that out. Everybody thinks the Heat are getting swept. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna come back and say I guarantee you they're not gonna get swept. Yeah.
Okay, this is where I need everyone to settle down, though, because he comes in aggressively and he can do Stugotz better than Stugotz because Zaslow still cares. And he can bring substantive passion to what we're doing. But this is the tension that I have that's a very real one for me, and I now say it legitimately walking the streets because some people who love the Heat and have loved them for a long time have used this show to follow the Heat for a long time and have certain expectations for it locally. And they get mad at me that, A, the show goes as negative as it does on the stubborn entitlement of we deserve better than this when not many have had better than this.
Totally.
But also, and this part is a problem for me, because the national audience is good and sick of how much we talk about the Heat. We do it about 50 times more than we should as a national show. And here's the other problem I run into. Those local Heat fans expect me to not platform Brian Scalabrine the way I don't expect Cam and Mace to platform O.J. Simpson. They're doing that to me on Brian Scalabrine and Paul Pierce, for that matter. Why are you bringing on the enemy?
I guarantee you they won't have him on again.
Not rest in peace, Dan, but damn.
Rest in something.
I'm saying the idea of not platforming Scalabrine because he's a Celtic who calls the Heat dirty, that's an unreasonable standard that you're trying to set for me, Miami, that I will not have set for me.
I mean, we did bring on a local regional broadcaster for one of the teams in this Heat Celtic series, and it was the one who said Spo called for a code red. Like that's what we're deciding
but
to
Zaslow's here today for a whole show.
And we had the Scalabrini interview booked before he even said that, although I would have asked. And it's not semantics. It's facts. It's not semantics. You feel how about what Mike Ryan is throwing into the atmosphere when he says he invented Heat Twitter and everything that comes after it is a pale imitation? Because if you're going to get spoiled, you know what's going to do it. I've been talking about this. Warriors fans and Patriots fans must be super obnoxious. Alabama fans must be super obnoxious because you get to a certain place where you just expect winning. You deserve winning. You get used to it. And next thing you know, you're running Belichick out the door. Or Calipari, you're running him out the door because you deserve to be top 10 every single year. The Heat have been a part of the national conversation for 15 straight years. It's unusual in that sport when you have turnover.
I don't think Mike represents most of the Heat fans the way that he feels about this right now. I feel like most Heat fans are more along the lines of they're pretty we were just in the finals last year. I think most Heat fans grasp that because it does come off like being an ingrate that you're so angry when they've been in the finals 2 of the last 5 years. I don't know about the whole inventing Heat Twitter stuff, right? That's above my pay grade. But I don't think that I don't think most Heat fans are on Mike's side. I don't think they feel that way. I don't think that most of them are ungrateful. I had a top 2 or 3 fan experience last postseason. And they didn't even win. So for me, right now, like I'm obviously disappointed. I'm most disappointed because they're hurt. But even if they were healthy and they lost in the first round, the joy that they gave me last postseason, it means something to me as a fan. And I don't lose sight of that.
I think I agree with Zaz. I think this is kind of like politics where you have Mike Ryan on one extreme, you have Jeremy on another extreme, but most people live in this middle space of this has been pretty cool what the Heat have done in the last 5 years.
So cool.
But it's also, you can also say it's not good enough because they've been in the play in the last 2 years. So it's like, it's okay to just be in the middle. Like, I want to start shouting. Like, usually everyone on the extremes is shouting, I see both sides. We're okay. We're not that bad.
Also, Dan is reading anonymous lists on the show about Bam. I don't know where you stand on that, Zaz, but Dan should get a little bit of blame in choosing an extreme side in this argument.
Stoking fires.
I was reporting something. I was reporting an anonymous source who
on Bam?
said, that he would take 13 centers over Bam in the NBA. And then I asked for them to be named because how am I getting blamed? What am I getting blamed for? Reporting, for asking somebody for information? I have not. I've been blamed here for carrying water for the Heat. I've been blamed for just always believing in Pat Riley because that's the wrong thing to do. And I do believe that these people deserve criticism. They'd be the first to tell you that they've set the standard that 8 seeds aren't good enough. I imagine Pat Riley is made crazy by just Jimmy Butler in general. What he does to media day, the fact that he's not playing all 82 games. I imagine that he's made crazy by what today's game is. He wanted Kareem and Mourning and Ewing to get the least efficient shot by just elbowing you in the face and turning you into hamburger. So I imagine everything he's watching right now is something that he's looking at, and I'm like, yeah, I wish that this were different. But he's at the end of his life.
Whoa.
He's kill Pat Riley?
He's at the end of his career and his life
That's
doing
better.
this.
Career.
Both of those are going to end at the same time.
He's never leaving.
He's going to be in the seat 10 years after he's gone. The Heat will continue to use that mythology 10 years after he's gone. They might do with him what Cuba did with Fidel Castro.
Whoa.
Where Fidel Castro
Now
was
we're getting into politics.
dead
man.
for years and nobody knew it, and his brother was running the country.
It's going to be like Weekend at Bernie style?
It's possible. But I
don't think that's factually true. I don't think he was dead for
Weekend
years.
at Bernie's? No, it's real.
No, Weekend at Bernie's is also not factually.
I thought it was a documentary.
What is factually
How'd
true?
they have a second weekend at Bernie's?
I don't know, how?
What is factually true on Fidel, Billy, since you're so interested in accuracy at all times?
Well, I mean, we have a responsibility to tell the truth.
Yeah.
But he was dead for years and his brother was running the country?
That's correct. Put it up on the board. Erase heat not getting swept. Fidel was
on
dead.
the record.
Fidel was. I'm putting this on the record.
It's a new record.
Fidel was dead for years, and his brother was running the country. He was
On the record.
Yeah, I'm putting it on the record.
Do you need
I'm
help
putting
spelling it. Anonymous NFL source sent me a list, Dan, of 15 quarterbacks they'd rather take instead of Tua. If you want to hear that list. But this is not my list. This is an anonymous NFL source sent me this list.
Oh, no.
I just don't know. You have not proven to have those.
What? Anonymous sources?
Anonymous NFL sources is not something I associate with you. Does anyone associate? Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does anyone associate anonymous NFL sources with Jessica?
I could see it.
You don't think I have anonymous NFL sources?
I'm not saying that you don't have them. I'm saying that before this moment, there was no argument.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who they are.
We pretend Mike Ryan's a reporter. Why can't Jess be a reporter?
Because Mike Ryan's not pretending, and Jessica has
know?
been a reporter more than Mike Ryan. Jessica came up through print journalism.
And now I'm just someone who reads anonymous sources lists out loud without saying that they're my list. But you can agree or disagree, but it's not my list. An anonymous NFL source sent me this list.
But I don't believe you, is what I'm saying. I'm questioning your sourcing.
You think I'm lying?
Yes.
Questioning my integrity.
Yes.
Well, I question your
Yes.
integrity, Dan, because you won't tell us who made the Bam Adebayo list.
It was Stan. He
You
told
can
us.
question my integrity, but I have literally done journalism longer than you've been alive.
So now you're doing an age thing.
Oh, no.
It's true, though. You are much, much older than me.
And wiser.
She's also a
And
woman.
wiser.
Thank you, Bane.
Is that pain?
Who
Number
was
one,
that?
Lamar Jackson.
I'm just trying to get us out of
Who
this, man.
was that?
You should check and make sure that the record is accurate.
Yeah.
Number 2, Patrick Mahomes.
I just don't believe that you have a source on this that you contacted over the evening.
You think I've never talked to an NFL source before?
I believe you're making up this entire list, and I believe you're damaging to credibility in journalism. Yes.
Unlike your list,
That's
which
right.
was anonymous,
Correct.
that had Nurkic as a better center than Bam.
Yes.
Wow.
Crazy.
But
I
I
can't believe it.
actually talked to somebody.
Number 7, Kyler Murray.
But you didn't talk to anybody.
How do you know that?
Because I think you're
How
making
do we know
this
you
up.
talked to somebody?
Because I'm a credible reporter who has previously quoted anonymous sources on information that has been accurate on this show. You have not done that
Bona
with an
fides.
NFL insider.
I have done it. Maybe not on this show because I'm not a journalist anymore, and maybe you're not either because you're granting anonymity to people that are breaking news about Bam Adebayo in this market, Dan.
I don't
and
think it's breaking
Number
news.
13 is Will Levis.
Not breaking news.
It's a terrible list.
I mean, it's broke for me.
It's better than yesterday's list.
My list on Bam was pretty bad too, but again, not my list.
Well, not my list either.
But I believe yours is your list. That's the thing. See, that's the thing. That's the problem with what you're doing right now. And
Caleb Williams.
it's a problem in American media in general. It's a distrust that the American media has for journalism in general is I believe you're actually making that list up.
Just doing the Trump tactic. I get it.
But-
Calling it fake news. It's fine.
But journalism doesn't usually do that. That's not something that actually happens within
It's
journalism.
a good defense mechanism. It's almost working.
Roy, what was
Yes.
your level of enthusiasm yesterday and your level of fear in that overtime?
I had no fear going to overtime because the Panthers don't lose in overtime. That's how I felt.
Roy, I think you're full of
No,
I
you
think
know,
you're
no,
full of
no,
shit.
I am
You
not full of
always
shit.
say I want all the smoke. I'm never afraid of anybody, and then you get swept by the lightning.
I wasn't
After you
afraid
say
during the
that,
sweep.
I mean, I don't. Does anyone believe Roy's bravado?
Did anybody believe your list?
It's a fair point.
I mean, my list is reported.
Okay. Well, okay.
No, we
I
didn't believe
It's
Jess's
somebody
list.
else's list, by the way.
Yeah.
Not Dan's.
Don't you need 2 sources to report something?
I can tell you that our words were in the second period because Sam Bennett went down and he was doing so well defensively against the Lightning. So he went down, and then the second period happened, and the Panthers couldn't establish what they wanted. That happened in the first period because apparently the entries got stuffed, and then It took a huge save from Sergei Bobrovsky, and even that didn't motivate the Panthers for the rest of the second period.
One of the best moments of my life. That save.
That save. Overall, that game, the goalie play in that game was probably the best I've ever seen in a playoff game.
That can't be right.
That was a
Come on.
classic
They
game
yes,
last night.
they were.
Both goaltenders.
Vasilevsky was
Wait a minute.
fantastic.
Okay, yes, wait a minute. Just slow down. It can't be the thing last night. Prisoner of the moment is the best thing I've ever seen. Now, I will say that that's fun playoff hockey. That's the reason people love playoff hockey. Let me show a picture here from last night. You tell me how this is not a goal. Bobrovsky, your great goaltender, has his back to the puck right there.
He looks superimposed. It looks like it's not even real.
This looks fake. That this was not a goal. That game is 2-2, and the next goal was going to end up winning that game because of how good these two goalies are. How is that not a goal when Bobrovsky, physically, you're about as out of position there as you can geographically be in that photograph and not have it be a goal?
If Matt Dumper gathers the puck correctly, because that's on his backhand, it was a one-touch backhand that he shot there. If he gathered that correctly, that would have been a goal. Like, if he had more patience, that would have been a goal.
No, I think if Bobrovsky wasn't alive, that'd be a goal.
Well, that too. Like, if he had as much patience as Carter Verhaeghe did on that overtime goal, then that would have been a goal.
Yep.
There were so many scoring chances in that
my
third
God.
period.
Unbelievable
Like,
night.
I'm telling you, Dan, I know it sounds prisoner of the moment, but Vasilevsky was fantastic too. It really was that was just a great
Chris,
fun game.
Vasilevsky has been that for them throughout the run of their dynasty. That is a champion goaltender at the height of his
Panthers are good
powers.
against him. The Panthers score on him. They've been really good against him the last couple seasons.
They weren't the last time that Roy wanted all the smoke from this team in the postseason, and they immediately got swept.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
I still want all the smoke. I'm not scared of them.
I'm not
Okay.
scared of them either. I've been calling for them all year long.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Absolutely.
It's so easy to not be scared at 2-0. You guys are so full of on up 1-0, going into overtime. When a series can swing like that, how do you imagine LeBron slept? You don't beat Denver 9 straight times. You got a three-pointer like that after playing in your driveway with Bryce and telling him you're the GOAT. That's what you do. You have the wide open shots with 12 seconds left of a tie game. That whole series is right there for you to go home against the champions. You know how hard it is to beat that team. And that's LeBron. That's LeBron, and you guys are telling me that the difference between 1-1 and 2-0 in an overtime isn't something. Go to Tampa 1-1? Go to Tampa. You're so full of shit.
They could have split in Tampa,
You're
Dan.
so full of shit, Roy.
I'll admit it, Dan. I was terrified during overtime.
So full of
Is
I was-
anyone telling the truth today? or-
Again, I was more,
I am always.
I was more worried in the second period than I was in overtime. I'm fully confident
That
in
is
this team
no
in
sign.
overtime.
I mean, I'm on the verge of projectile vomit the last 40 minutes of that game last night. You're nuts. You weren't nervous. I was so nervous. I watched the entire overtime in horror. Horror.
Well, I'm a crazy person. I
No,
don't know
Roy,
what to do.
what you're saying, this doesn't take any inventory of the history and emotion of what you're trying to knock out of the playoffs. Like, you have no respect. You're having no
respect.
You are someone who loves hockey.
It doesn't make you less of a fan.
To not be afraid of championship, something that can win in the hockey playoffs consistently, you're nuts. Like, how do you, that's exactly what, that goaltender is exactly what you fear. That's what ends the greatest teams in hockey. That's how upsets happen in hockey.
Dan, the Lightning are a lesser team than what they were. Like, I am fully confident in this Panthers team to get through this series. Like, not even in 5.
Backhand top shelf beats Vasilevsky.
There is a calming element of sitting in the press box as well. Like if Roy's out there drinking a couple of beers, hanging out in the middle of the fans, that would have been a little bit of a different experience, I imagine, than sitting next to the rest of the crew in the media.
This is the problem, though. I have never once, just like I haven't heard Jessica summon an anonymous NFL source before on this show, I've never heard once Roy admit publicly to fear of any kind. He's always wearing this mask of bravado, your mama. Like, that's what he's always doing. So he's never once at that microphone admitted fear of anything.
My source just texted me, by the way, Dan. J.J. McCarthy, number 16 now.
What?
Tua sliding back to 17.
Wow.
I don't like the source.
I almost got into a fight in the parking lot with an old guy after the Panthers game last night.
Like an actual fist fight?
No.
A
Just
verbal
altercation. So we're leaving the parking lot. I found the one lane because that stadium is very good for exiting
It's
the parking
such a good parking lot.
There's a lot of different exits. It's usually smooth sailing, but I found this one nook where we found ourselves in the standard every other car thing. There's 2 lines merging into one. Every other car. I'm seeing 20 cars go every other car. Everyone's being nice. This one guy, older white dude with his wife in the car, hops up on the curb and thinks he's going to skip like 8 people.
Is he in like a truck?
He's in like a truck, like an SUV, and you can see his wife like yelling at him. And during it, all of a sudden, I'm pulling up, and he gets by me. And the car in front of me decides we're going to block this guy. So we block him. So all of a sudden, this guy who thought he was skipping everybody is getting passed by everyone. So now he's rolling down his window like, come on, let me go. And I hit him with, I rolled down my window, cheaters never prosper. Just a stupid line. He goes, I ain't cheating. It was just so funny. Like,
You
it was,
said that?
I did.
In
Cheaters
real life
never
to another
prosper.
human?
Why?
Where did you
Because they
summon
don't.
that
That's
from?
because they don't.
It's not true.
Cheaters never prosper, and you will sit here, buddy. And then the next person behind me let him in, so I was pissed. But I was
So
like,
he prospered.
Not on my watch. Cheaters never prosper. And he goes, I ain't cheating.
Because it's true. Because it's true. I have told you before, I will continue to tell you, David Sampson is working very hard on Nothing Personal, the podcast, a daily slalom course of subject matter that I don't believe a lot of other people are attacking. So Nothing Personal is something you should check out. He is joining us now from somebody's grandmother's house in London. Is that where you are, London?
No, I'm in Paris at a hotel. This is the background. This is where I've been doing Nothing Personal from this week. And yeah, I was in London this weekend, Dan, so you were close.
And so why are you in Paris and London?
I ran a marathon. I ran the London Marathon. Well, I tried to run. I finished the London Marathon Sunday and then came over to Paris through the Channel for a couple days before I come back for Monday.
Did you train for it?
No, I do. I used to train so hard I would never miss a training run. And then I did the 7 marathons deal, and I thought I could just run a marathon without training. So I didn't earn the starting line. I got to the starting line. The first 18 miles were great. And then I just collapsed at mile 18, pulled over to the side of the street. My legs didn't move. And I was emotional because I thought I couldn't finish. And I just decided to try to keep going. And I ended up doing the last 8.2 miles, but it was, I don't suggest doing marathons without training.
Have you never finished a marathon before?
Well, I quit the Berlin Marathon last year, and so I was worried I was going to quit again, and I don't ever want to be a quitter, and I hated that feeling. I still think about it. It's been a year and a half, and I think about it pretty much every day that I had a chance to do a Berlin Marathon, and I quit. I literally, at mile 12 of that one, there was a train, like the tube or the subway, that I saw was the line. Everything was in German. I didn't know where I was, but it was the subway line back to my hotel. And I ran from the course, and I ran over the stanchion and went right into the subway. It was horrible. I'll never do that again.
I believe you ran the London Marathon with Zdeno Chara, who ran the Boston Marathon 6 days before that. Like, can you believe a 6'9" person like that running 2 marathons within a week? It's crazy.
There's a bunch of people who did that, who did Boston Monday and then London Sunday. Those are 2 of the 6 major marathons. The other 4 being Tokyo and Berlin and Chicago and Boston and New York. And I'd like to do all 6. I've only done 4.
Zaslow, before we go any further here with David Sampson, what are your general feelings about David Sampson and the fact that he's on our show?
I like David Sampson. I've only met David a few times. He's always been nice to me. I got no problem with David Sampson. I know he's very polarizing, and I know he probably cares very much about my opinion of him, so I like David Sampson. Yeah, he got us a stadium here. He got us a ballpark. I'm grateful for that.
If you fell in a well and David Sampson were there to help you, would you accept his help?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If Paul Pierce were the only one there, I'd say, hey, go get David Sampson.
So Zaz, have you spent any time with Paul Pierce?
I will never do that in my life, no.
No, but have you actually met him is what I'm asking.
I mean, I've been in the same building as him many times.
No.
Oh, a basketball arena with 20,000 people doesn't count.
Have you actually spoken with him before?
No. If he were in front of me and wanted to talk to me, I'd say no. I have nothing to do with you.
So let me just tell you that Paul Pierce happens to be one of the funniest, nicest guys you will ever meet.
Good for him.
I'll never meet him.
No, you could meet him. I thought he's coming on the show today.
I will not be in this.
He's
I
leaving.
will walk out.
He's leaving. Like Mike Ryan.
There's some bagels there. I'll go make myself a bagel and cream
You're
cheese.
going to take a break and stand on principle and not participate. Are you going to get a pay cut for not doing the segment?
Pay cut? I didn't know there was pay involved, period.
Welcome, Zaslow.
You stand for nothing, David. You'll fall for anything, you know?
You need an agent.
You know what I would do? Matter of fact, if I were, like, if it was mandatory that I had to be in the same room with Paul Pierce, you know what I would do? I would wear not one, I would wear both of my championship rings from the Miami Heat so that he and everybody else sees I have twice as many championship rings as he does. That's what I would do.
And I love
if
that.
I had to be in the room with him, which I won't.
If you got him, smoke him.
What part are you not understanding about this, Samson? Because you do have a disconnect when it comes. I think this is something that plagued you as an executive between the customer's fandom and where it is and how it is that you do business. I look at Zaz and I find this funny and unreasonable. And also, it makes sense that that pays for the whole economy of everything you and I do, that people care that way.
But Zaz is not a fan today. He is on the other side of a microphone where his job is to get information out of Paul Pierce that will be interesting to the audience. It's not to be, I don't view any time between 9 and 11 live on YouTube on the Le Batard Network. I don't view that you should be a fan, even though you pretend to be and you play characters that are that. At the end of the day, you have an opportunity to speak to.
He's not playing a character. He's a fan. He's a fan first. He's always been a fan.
Yeah, definitely a fan. Definitely just being me. Definitely never talking to Paul Pierce because F him.
Cheaters never prosper.
Such a
Wouldn't it be
weird
great
taunt.
if you met him before you thought that?
I don't know why you keep wanting me to meet Paul Pierce. I have great people in my life. I don't need Paul Pierce. It's, oh my God, Paul Pierce is so funny and so sweet and so nice. I got those people in my life. None of them are going to be Paul Pierce. I'm good.
I cannot understand the words you're saying because I never knew what it would be like to have no room for something like that in your life because I have such a vast amount of space for that and I crave that it's shocking to me that you're good. You're like your tank is full, so you're not willing to meet anybody new. Is that what you're saying?
It's Pierce specific.
Yeah, I'm absolutely willing to meet new people, but not someone who I actively dislike and who actively dislikes my favorite team and who has been a part of moments that have given me pain. Now, granted, we've given him a lot more pain. A lot more pain. I mean, we took that ass almost every single year that we played them. And again, I have twice as many championship rings as he does in his entire career. It's important that we don't forget that. But there is no moment that I'm going to be sitting on my couch saying, you know what would really fulfill me if I added Paul Pierce to my life?
But you only have to add him for 12 and a half minutes.
Or I could not add him.
It's 12 and a half minutes where he could convince you that, wait a minute, it was just a character. I was just a player on a team.
Well, I'll tell you right now, he could be a big phony. That's nice, David, that you're calling him a big phony. I'll probably side with you on that one. But this right here, this Punim right here, all of this here, this is not phony. This is for real. I got no interest in Paul Pierce.
And it has 2 rings.
Speaking of Punims, is there matzah in the office? Because I sent a memo. Is it just bagels?
It's 2 rings that he has, David. I know you're very eager whenever you get the avenue open to talk about bagels that you take it. But he's got 2 actual rings. He's not using we as, the way fans do.
Yeah.
He's got twice as many championship rings as Paul Pierce.
If Paul Pierce and I were in a room together and Dan said, hey, guys, throw your championship rings on the table, there would be 3 there. 2 of them would be mine.
And LeBron would still go to the Heat, not the Knicks.
David, I don't know whether you've been following just how bad the refereeing and umpiring crisis is. There is no solace, 0, that Philadelphia gets today, hearing that in the 2-minute report, Maxey was fouled by Hart and Brunson, and Nurse was asking for a timeout he should have gotten. So they basically botched everything at the end of that game, and the Knicks win. And both of the games, the refereeing is having an obvious impact in the NBA where they're trying to get scoring down. Like the Clippers, to watch that Clippers-Mavs game, as good as I know those offensive guys are, to watch everybody on the court miss more shots than they make, it was very frustrating because I want to watch Dallas and the Clippers play basketball, but there's an officiating edict that seems to be a place in the NBA, and everyone's complaining about the officiating. This is as old as time. Is it any worse than it's been?
You just said that, so let's make sure we understand prisoner of the moment. Go back to Pat Riley, whether he's Bernie or not. That's what playoff basketball used to be. Just like often in playoff baseball, where pitching becomes much more important than your offense, playoff basketball is different. Defense matters. And in terms of refereeing, I've thought about this, and I covered this on Nothing Personal. It's very different now because we get the frame by frame on social media. I don't know if you saw this, if we have this, and I don't want to give video team more work to do.
Are you going to do this again? You're going to do this again where you call for video and you think they should just have it because it's a thought in your head from seconds ago?
Yes.
All right, please. Please stop doing that. Could you? Could you do that for me?
Hello, I'm sorry. Love you guys. The frame by frame shows Brunson grabbing. If you go frame by frame, there's offensive holding, there's defensive holding in the NFL every play. And what you ask your umpires and referees to do is to make judgment calls in real time. You don't get the benefit of hindsight, but we do in the media and we as fans. So everyone's losing their mind over the end of the Sixers game. Embiid is crying over the Sixers' loss. They didn't lose that game because Brunson grabbed Maxi's jersey. They lost that game because they didn't shoot the ball well enough. That's it. And they didn't stop other than Brunson.
David, there's no that's it on reasons they lost the game. There's no one that's it. When the referees are telling you in the 2-minute report they got a bunch of wrong, like
what about the other 46 minutes?
Okay.
Why is the 2-minute report so important? I hate the 2-minute report. It should be a 48-minute report. What's the difference between the last 2 minutes? That's like saying the umpires, you screwed it up in the 9th inning. What about the 3-1 call in the 4th inning? That's just as important.
I hate the 2-minute report. I've always hated the 2-minute report. Matter of fact, if I'm a Sixer fan, I want the 2-minute report not to confirm anything I was angry about.
I agree.
Because I just get more mad now. What are we doing? We're not going to replay the final. We're not all of a sudden going to be granted up 2 games. I hate the last 2-minute report. To me, it's counterproductive. I hate it.
I would have voted against that ever being publicized. I don't think that fans or anybody should get a hold of that. There are reports that happen after every baseball game. You've got Twitter accounts that now go through umpires and rank them and score them of strike ball efficiency. But I don't want I view that as dirty laundry under the kimono type stuff. I don't need people to be debating that and me to have an official position on it. But the way the world is that everybody wants more information, but then when they get it, they're angry they have it and they view themselves as being wronged. And that's the thing about fan bases. So often they just feel wronged all the time instead of grateful for a run that they had, as an example.
They were up 5 with 30 seconds left.
Well, let's play some sound here from Pablo Torre yesterday. He's getting dragged for this. He deserves to be dragged for this. I wish I had dragged him for this. This was Pablo Torre's analysis at the end of that Knicks-Sixers game.
It's just obvious what needs to happen. Joel Embiid needs to step up in a big game. And it just sounds like a cliche. It sounds like a cliche, and it's totally true, Dan. So, yeah, I'm tired. I'm just tired of being the prophet of the process. I am. On some level, yes, it's true that Joel Embiid is playing hurt. Joel Embiid should not be out there. And yet, this is the exact reason why Joel Embiid exists. This is why the process happened, is for moments like this.
Pablo should be imprisoned for that take. It's my fault for not calling it out at the time. Joel Embiid did everything he did in that game on one leg, and you're asking him to step up? You're asking him to have a big game? When he did everything that he did in that game? That was truly horseshit analysis. And I really erred in not calling that out yesterday.
That's what you aired in not calling out yesterday?
Yes, that was egregious to say that Joel, after that game, now I know he's 12 for 29, you want him to be more efficient, but the way that he's playing, like how much can you, I hate when we skip right past, I know he's injured. I mean, none of us,
but he's always
Jeremy
injured.
missed work on Monday. He had the sniffles.
Oh, I had more than the sniffles, but yeah, I missed work.
But I'm just saying, like the idea that someone's injured and putting up 30-plus points in an NBA game and carrying that team, and no one's yelling about Tobias Harris, who's making a ton of money.
Well, but you know what? Like Anthony Davis, everyone was giving Anthony Davis a lot of crap for having a great 3 quarters and then doing nothing in the 4th quarter. Joel Embiid is yet to grab a rebound in the 4th quarter this series. Not grab a bunch of rebounds, to grab a rebound. That's singular. To grab a rebound in this series in the 4th quarter.
Mitchell Robinson's averaging 4 rebounds in the 4th quarter.
He doesn't have 1 rebound. And you know what? The Knicks grabbed one of the biggest rebounds in the history of their franchise right in front of Embiid.
Is it or A?
I'm good.
A rebound? David, what's the movie you're reviewing for us this week?
Can we talk about Baby Reindeer? Has anyone in the room seen it?
It's excellent.
I've seen the cover of it, but I actually haven't seen or have
great,
no idea what it's about.
I've seen of it.
You have to be prepared to be deeply uncomfortable. It crawls into your skin.
Don't spoil it. No one's seen it yet.
I haven't spoiled it. I'm just...
To say that you're uncomfortable. Here's what Baby Reindeer is and why you should watch it. It's about a stalker. It's about a comedian who is stalked, and it's true. And the writer, the director, and the star is the actual comedian playing himself, which is shocking because he's surrounded by actors.
I don't think he's the star, by the way. I think she is. I think this is a breakout role for her.
Well, she is going to win stuff for what she did, the stalker. It's staggering, her performance. It is so scary, and I don't mean horror scary. It is staggering what can happen in a life when you get stalked. And it's not the normal catfish type of stalking. Totally different. I strongly suggest it. Now, I'm worried about talking more about it because Jessica said don't spoil it. But I'd like to talk about some things that happened.
Well, she said don't spoil it, and she said it to me saying it's unsettling. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It crawls around in your skin, and the woman, I don't know her name, I'd never seen her before, is great in it. It's an uncommonly good acting job where she immediately makes you uncomfortable.
And episode 4 is the most uncomfortable episode. I would suggest when you watch it, it's a very quick 7-episode watch. After episode 4, you're going to need to take a break. You're going to have to step away because it goes to a place where it's just very difficult to watch. And then you finish with the last 3 episodes. And the end of the story of Baby Reindeer, and when they explain what Baby Reindeer is, because I had no idea why it would be called that, and it's such an important part of the story, that's the part I won't spoil. But it is a show that I strongly suggest everybody watch.
David, we will talk to you next week, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica, one of the tensions that we have around here, and there are a lot of them over the last couple of days, but I keep seeing Billy in another room with Kristen, and he's talking to her, and both of them, when I come in, both Billy and Kristen, they look a bit crazy, okay? And there's a scene in Die Hard one time after I think Bruce Willis kills some Fabio guy with a chain, and oh no,
he didn't die.
No,
he didn't die in that scene.
Forgive
Spoiler
me.
alert.
Thank you. Yes, forgiveness on all parts.
I can't watch Baby Reindeer or whatever you're talking about.
The Fabio guy is enraged, and he takes his gun and he just destroys like a cart, a tray. And Holly McClane knows that Bruce Willis is still alive because only her husband could make someone that mad. I looked into the face of Kristen and Billy this morning, and both of them were stir crazy in a way that only I could understand, really. Maybe Abby understands. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, Stugotz, his spirit is here today. He has made them crazy. And Jessica, what I want to do is I want to talk to Kristen about Billy's most honest feelings. Not protector, producer.
Everything's fine.
Not protective producer, but I want Billy's honest feelings through the translator of Kristen, because that's where he goes to put his complaints. And I saw Stugotz asked to do the draft and now is making it very hard for everyone in the company to just get him on his own draft show.
That's close to accurate. Are you asking me or Jess?
I'm asking Jess what I do with the Kristen portion of this, which is I need a translator for you because you're going to be gentle and protect Stugotz. It's how we've enabled this particular monster. But his idea was to cover this draft, and now no one is more difficult about doing it than he is, and he's made Billy and Kristen's job very hard. Why is he in Detroit?
Well, it's good that you should ask that, Dan. The draft is tomorrow, as you know, a big day on the sports calendar. And, months ago, Stugotz very helpfully said, hey, you know who's going to be in Detroit? I am, because my daughter's going to be playing lacrosse there the week before and the week after. So, it might make sense for me to just stay there and cover the draft. So he told us this, and we said, okay. So then we kind of put wheels in motion and tried to start formulating a plan. How do we make this happen? Stugotz really wants to do this because he mentioned it a number of times, how much he was really excited about the prospect of being in Detroit to cover the draft. So because I would say borderline insistent he was on doing this, we decided let's figure out a way to do this and have it make sense, but also not a way that would cost $200,000. So we came up with a plan that, has me kind of manning the ship down here, and I'm going to have a number of people around me, Jess and Tony and Chris and Zaz. If you want to come, you can come tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the draft, a watch along here live at 8 o'clock on YouTube. We're going to be covering from 8 p.m. until the Dolphins pick, hopefully.
There's no change on that, correct? You will keep going if the Dolphins trade out of the first round.
No. We're not going 24 hours a day. Like, we're not going to continue overnight.
It's not the Tony
after.
Show, Dan.
Exactly right. No, that's.
Can the Tony Show be after, where the Tony Show just hangs out after?
Sales is holding that up from what I've heard. Anyways,
Dan,
now
I create something and corporate just destroys it.
Now what we're here to talk about. Now what we're here.
Feldman.
Whoa, Dan, unnecessary.
Is Billy allowed to have sources, Dan?
Well, okay, let's get back on track, everybody. So
he's
this
the
is
Duke.
what's going to go on.
He's an international insider, and he's a man.
Well,
At least he said it.
all right. So Stugotz, we've worked out, will be in Detroit, and we thought that he was going to be in Detroit since this weekend because that's what was said. And he was here yesterday. So he was not in Detroit for the weekend through next weekend. And I found out that lots of times in the planning, it just Abby knows. And we didn't have a flight booked until yesterday for Stugotz. So problem with that, some would say a problem. I see it as an opportunity. The problem some people would find with that is if you want to be doing stuff on Wednesday and you fly up Wednesday morning and you don't land until noon, you've missed a lot of the morning stuff on Wednesday. I see it as an opportunity because we still have Thursday afternoon for stuff.
That's the biggest day.
So we have right now, or whatever day today is. What day is today? Wednesday afternoon. We still have Wednesday afternoon. Right now he has 3 interviews locked in with potential. We don't know they're going to be drafted for sure, but potential first-round picks. We're kind of looking for other opportunities for him. And Stugotz, he's a go-getter. He says, I'm going up to Detroit and I only have 3 things right now. Impossible. I want to do more. So we say, okay, well, it's hard because you're missing half the day on Wednesday.
Because today's his travel day. He's also missing this show, of course.
Yeah,
but
correct.
he's chosen this as a travel day because he couldn't leave last night, right?
Well, I don't know the specifics. I don't handle the travel.
But he was supposed to be in Detroit all week. He was supposed to. None of us expected him at all this week. We thought this is what he was doing this week. He switched it up because he's got to be in control of the scam or feel like he's getting a scam, and he's just trying to get the company to pay for his trip.
I listen. Last I heard is he will no longer be in Detroit this weekend because his daughter's team has a bye, so he doesn't need to be in the area this weekend. So
why is he in Detroit?
Well, he was there last weekend and then told us I'm going to be there the whole week. It makes sense for me to just stay there and cover the draft. So we said let's make this happen. So the plan was on Wednesday he'll be there and he'll be recording with prospects. And on Thursday we'll do a watch along. You'll be credentialed. There'll be, I'm assuming.
No, he lied himself into an extra trip that he didn't have to take because he got his own schedule wrong.
Well,
like he thought he was going to have to be there for his daughter, but it turns out they have a bye. So he wasn't going to actually go, but if he did have to go, he would have expensed it because it happened to overlap with the draft. But now it turns out he doesn't have to be there. So he Stugotz himself into an unnecessary trip to Michigan.
All of that I'd say is hearsay. I'd just say, it's great. He's got a great opportunity today to interview 3 number 1 picks. Is he thrilled about going to Detroit to only interview 3 people at the moment? I'd say he wasn't super happy this morning when we spoke, but I don't know. Maybe things will change. Maybe once he'll get there, he'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and see what a great opportunity this is, and he'll wake up with a zest for NFL coverage tomorrow morning, but it seems that as of right now, that's not where we're at just yet, but there's an opportunity to get there.
Is Stugotz the first person to ever scam their way to a trip to Detroit?
Well, he doesn't even want to be there. Is the interesting part,
God
which
almighty.
I don't understand.
He asked for all of this. When he says I didn't
correct.
ask for any of this,
Correct.
he asked for all of this.
This is only happening because he was insistent on this happening, and now we're here, and he didn't have a flight booked until yesterday, and he's saying, why am I doing this? And the answer is because you asked for this, and we tried to make you happy.
Dan, you say he's lost a step? He sounds like he's still on his game, man.
One of the things that is perpetually funny to me about the entirety of the Stugotz experience is that when you tell anybody who has known him for 20 years that story, They find it both appalling and totally not surprising in any way. And Billy's been dealing with that. That is more of a descent into madness than Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse.
I question my career choices,
Billy,
weekly.
Billy, I feel
I've
for
looked up
you.
going back to school.
Billy, I have thought before with you, Billy, that you sometimes take the most inefficient of routes sort of to prove that you can conquer the degree of difficulty. The degree of difficulty.
I think of myself as a surgeon in route taking.
So medical school?
No, I'm squeamish around needles and blood in general.
Law school? Culinary school?
Law school. I mean, I don't know.
I see as a tradesman, maybe going back to trade school, maybe being like a carpenter, something like that.
I mean, I have a shed.
You choosing God Bless Football as a career choice at the advent of Meadowlark Media is one of the most degree of difficulty dumb career decisions I've ever seen.
Part of it chose me, unwillingly.
You have made an excellent show out of that, and what I am saying is this version of Stugotz, sloppy, greedy, reckless, fat with fame. Fat with fame. He's a star and behaves like it. He tells FAN, I'll put 5,000 asses on a corner if I say I'm going to show up. He's a star and knows it and behaves like it, and he'll grace your draft party if he feels like it from the city of his choosing. He's behaved like that for 3 years around here, and you've been in charge of that project.
Why is he in charge?
Me?
Can you catch me up right quick? I know I'm on an island on my own here.
Why am I in charge of that?
Because Stugotz has been ripping off Billy Gill for 15 years from before Sports Bang, and he's learned how to get great
Sports Bang.
Remember that day?
I filled in a couple times.
Yeah, you filled in a couple times.
That's right.
That was a good show.
That was all right.
Agreed.
I kind of miss it.
Agreed. Just all right, Zaslow?
It's all right.
I thought
you were on it. When you were on it, was it more than all right?
Well, I mean, I don't have a lot to hold it up against.
Who was the weak link?
I was in for Stugotz a few times.
Was it Goldie?
I don't think I was ever in with Goldie.
Yeah. Towards the end, attendance seemed optional for a lot of the cast, which was odd.
Yeah.
If I may, I would love right now.
I got paid, though.
In the local hour. You got paid?
I did. I got paid, and on time.
Did you get paid, Billy?
Eventually, but it took a lot of public shaming. And it was in installments, and it was like a not large amount.
Did Amber Wilson get paid?
I think she did. Yeah.
I don't think she ever got paid.
Really?
Well, maybe she did.
On time seems pretty surprising given the history of the ticket.
I know. That's why I was surprised. I know Billy was complaining about not getting paid. I did the show. I got paid right away.
Yeah.
Mike Ryan wants to do an oral history of $7.90 the ticket that includes the Steve White years when I gave him cash for everybody's Christmas bonuses.
I found that out years
away.
later. That's right. I didn't know that. I never got my money, and then I found out that it was actually from Dan, and it didn't go to me. It was supposed to go to me. I never got that money. One time, I took the check to the bank. There was no money in that account.
Yeah.
Check bounced on me. That's a disgrace.
I think we've all had a job like that, right? I mean, not hopefully the one that's your career, but like had a job like that where it's like, well, payday, time to race to the bank to make sure we're at the front end of the payment so we get paid.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You think that's uncommon? I think that happens.
Jessica was the only one nodding in the room with what it is you were saying.
Illustrated, Billy, yes.
Everyone else in the room was looking at you like that wasn't something that they weren't
no,
Disney's checks weren't going to cash.
No, not Disney. I mean, we all, well,
but these
at
are
a Montessori school or something.
Murph. I remember those days, man.
Well, let's talk for a second because Zaslow, we are proud of Zaslow in South Florida. This is a tough and dirty and awful business. It really is.
God.
It's foul. I can't explain to the people listening to this the business that Zaslow came up in, how terrible it is.
I was there right at the beginning, right before it went on
Of
air.
Radio?
Yes.
That's Cody. That's your dad who's there at the beginning of AM radio. No, Zaslow was like the first employee of 790, the station that Stugotz built before he became a star, back when he cared about things like Sports Bang, making it great.
Stugotz interviewed and hired me. Stugotz gave me the job. He interviewed me.
to become a producer for Boog Shambi.
To become a guy who just does everything and gets paid nothing.
That's correct. That's the producer's job in radio. It's why I told Chris Cody, there is no future in this. There is no career in this. Go, run for your lives. Run somewhere else. Bad idea to get into this business, and it's worse than it's ever been. But I will say that I'm proud not only of what Zaslow has done as the business has fallen apart all around him. You can hear him with Amber Wilson, another crew from South Florida. Another crew from South Florida that's making national impact like Joy Taylor. If you were listening, if you've been listening to this show since the advent of 790 because it was the young new thing and you couldn't believe it existed, Zaslow for You is one of the many success stories that were birthed in this market, in this town, by that station under Stugotz to create national stars. And him and Amber Wilson are going to be on ESPN Radio the next couple of days covering the draft, right?
Yeah, today, tomorrow, and Friday, we're on 3 to 7 on ESPN doing draft stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What was our old spot? In a 3 to 7 spot at ESPN, Zaslow and Amber Wilson. And we're proud of the stuff that they have done with their careers because it has been a fight, man. A fight. Zaslow will tell you, how scary it is when the media falls apart on you and you're a family man, and now you're watching Panther and Heat games with your kids, and you're making them nuts.
Oh,
you're making them lunatics.
What an experience! Is this? So this is what happens. You know, I go from watching these games growing up, and I'm a maniac in the Zaslow Mansion family room watching the games. But now I watch these high-stakes playoff games like last night. I watched them with my teenage boys, and that is. Like, my 15-year-old thinks I'm a madman.
Damn, they're 15 already?
My oldest one is 15.
Is he like Roy? He's not scared?
Where does the time go?
No, he's not scared. He wants them to win, but he's not on the verge of projectile vomit like I am. One bad bounce, I'm puking. And the games end and they win in overtime. And God, this has happened 11 straight times. And it happened a lot last year. And just the celebration is me going over to him and hugging him. That's how we celebrate. We're both super excited. But it's like, we did it. We made it through. Because I watched the games in horror, but we did it. We got this one. 14 more.
Honestly, this is such a great legacy for Mike Ryan.
Yeah, it's
He created
amazing.
all of this.
We don't talk enough about how he created Zaslow and Heat Twitter and everyone else in this market.
Well, Stugotz says
and
he's
me, by the way,
created all of those people, and Bomani and others. Stugotz says he's created all of those people. But I will tell, again, the audience, Billy's trying to do, against Stugotz's just general defense,
Against the spread.
a big, giant show tomorrow opposite the draft at Stugotz.
Alongside the draft. I wouldn't say we're not competing.
Panthers
It's a
too.
companion.
Panthers
Yeah.
also.
Well, here's the thing. Lots of sports going on tomorrow. We can kind of update you on everything that's going on. We have 3 to 4 TVs in this office, so maybe more.
Stugotz is going to miss the Knicks game, his favorite team.
It's gonna be
while
tough
he's
for
in
him,
Detroit.
probably.
Yeah.
I'm not honestly sure. Jessica, I still need your help here because I don't know what to do. I think there is a good segment, like a strong segment, to be done with Kristen because I think she'll be more honest about what Billy really feels.
She's polite. No.
Okay.
She's waving it off.
no,
I
on the
know,
sidelines.
I know. She has been reluctant, and what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, obviously I need consent. I need her to help.
She knows too much about where the
Yeah.
skeletons are.
Wow.
I don't know if you want
I think there's good
her.
content there.
She can't take the stand, Dan. I won't allow it.
Wow.
Whoa.
and
boy.
just being a Billy translator and being
Won't allow it, Dan. Sorry.
Translate. What am I saying that's unclear?
well,
I'm just telling you all the opportunities.
I think that you are. Tell me what I have wrong here, because I have felt for you from a distance on this front. Okay, as somebody who, I have never wanted to be a manager of people, but this is the position that we're in because we've got a company, and you are saddled with someone who is difficult.
Anchored,
Yes.
some would say.
Who is difficult, and I have felt for you because I see and hear the care that God Bless Football has. It is professionally done. It deserves all of its accolades, and I know that's because you're working 14 hours for the 90 minutes that Stugotz is farting out of the side, and that you're making that the craft that it is because you've made it a beautiful thing.
I'm an artisan, really.
Now he's asked you for a watch party that he wanted to do, and I'm not confident he'll get the technology up and running so that he can join you by Zoom.
Well, okay, here's the good news on that front is that we set up our technical people yesterday on Tuesday, and they've done tests already. So technically, I've been told it's sound. They were there. They already went to the location. DraftKings Sports and Social in Troy, Michigan. So you can go there. It's a sports book. You can watch it. I'm presuming you can gamble there.
All right,
whatever.
well, we should tell people in the area, okay? Because Stugotz says he can bring 5,000 people wherever he goes.
Well, no, just on what was the word? Cobblestone? What was some word?
And I think, and what he said was,
Tie-dye.
he said he'd bring 5,000 more than that guy.
So let's put some pressure on our audience. People have been asking, where's he doing this? I do want to go. You now have the information where allegedly at an appointed time during a watch party of his creation that he may or may not show up to and have working audio.
Well, no,
We had to send people to join him at great expense.
Well, here's the thing.
Económico.
I always had the information, and I always knew it was going to be at DraftKings Sport and Social in Troy, Michigan. So if you're in the area or the nearby area, you go out, you'll hang out with Stugotz, Mike Yeh, you can watch the draft there.
Make a scene.
I always knew that it was there. However, when I say Troy, Michigan, he will say that's not Detroit, Michigan, where the draft is. And I will say, it's like Pinecrest is to Miami. It's all Miami. You're all there. It's there. That's where we're going to do it. And this is a great spot. It's going to be a fun night had by all. But I needed to make sure that he got on that plane. So I needed to be vague enough.
Is he on the plane?
I was told this morning when I texted him and I said, hey, before you get on that plane, because I thought he was flying last night, before you get on that plane, if you want, I'm driving in, we can kind of talk this over. If you have any questions, we can go over this. He said, I'm on the plane. Now, if he stayed on the plane, I don't know. I'm hoping that door closed because once the door closes, you're stuck on that plane.
So you're a generally neurotic creature, and this seems like someone who would make you mad in every day, mad, crazy, and also
He's harder than my children.
And so this morning, when you're talking to him, what's he mad about?
Depending on the day, it's always something. But there are opportunities to fix those problems. That's how you have to look at it.
The company is trying to get him to a place that he designed so he can do his job. Like, what? I don't know. What's he mad about?
Maybe this segment?
No.
The segment hadn't happened this morning. Why is he getting on a plane cranky?
Well, he just wanted more things on his schedule for the day.
Yeah.
So
He likes to be busy.
yeah.
We don't know if he's going to get there tonight.
There lies the problem.
I've been, Zaslow, apologizing to the audience for just an assortment of things over the last 3 years because life has just gotten hard in a number of different places. So I'm going to apologize now again for when I say that Stugotz is a step slow, so too am I. And so I failed to seize correctly, the way I would have in my prime, on the pathetic rolling down of the window and shouting, "Cheaters never prosper." I did not do enough with that when it presented itself. When a rabid Chris Cody rolls down his window to show a cherubic, freckled face that's filled with joy from moments ago, but also now rabid rage because there's a cheater in the parking lot and parking in South Florida can make people crazy. Him shouting rageful, "Cheaters never prosper." I feel like that's one you drive home and think to yourself, I could have done better there.
Oh, the exact opposite. I celebrated it. I'm telling you, because it triggered the guy. We were laughing at what a ridiculous thing it was.
Was your daughter with you?
Yeah, who were you in the car
Just
with?
my buddy. My
and
friend.
your buddy, he commended you
Well,
on the...
we were both on team, let's not let this guy win. And then we were both cracking up at his, I ain't cheating.
But yours was more pathetic.
I'm telling you, but that's what was so cutting about it. It was such a ridiculous, not like cheaters never prosper. I've never sounded whiter.
Can you diagram this? I'm confused as to how this played out, like in the
Draw it on
parking
the
lot.
whiteboard.
Yeah, draw
Take
it
the
on the
whiteboard.
record.
We're going to erase Detroit?
No,
Draw it
that's-
on the record.
Also, I would have just let Greg cut me off if I were you.
The
I'll bring you a
imaging
bigger board, don't
for
worry.
tonight or for tomorrow night's draft party needs to change from Detroit spelled the way that Detroit is spelled to how Tony is spelling it there, that has Troy right in the middle of it, because Stugotz being Detroit adjacent. You know, one thing that he asked me to do before he left here, this was actually funny. I thought this was a good idea, but of course with him, it's just ideas that he never finishes. He was thinking about figuring out a way to be McAfee adjacent, to go to his draft party, to be like...
That was also very difficult to pull off, Dan. I would say that.
Well, all he had to do was make a phone call, which I'm sure he did not make because he's filled with ideas that he does not execute. Or, in this case, an idea that he wants Billy to execute for him and has made me genuinely feel what I saw on the face. Look, Let me show you guys a picture right now before we go to this whiteboard. Let me show you a picture. You know the pitcher, the Major League pitcher, Zaslow, Wade Miley, pitched for the Diamondbacks, pitched for a bunch of teams.
Yeah.
I have never before seen in a photograph of an athlete like this one of Wade Miley something that looks like total sadness. I am seeing on the face of Wade Miley total sadness. And what I saw on the face of Billy and Kristen was a sadness about not being able to execute for Stugotz, an idea that is Stugotz's.
Dan, I think that's AI.
It looks fake,
I
right?
think it's an AI picture.
It looks like what you would do if you were trying to artificially to do with AI sadness.
If you look at the eyes, can we pull it up big screen real quick? If you look at the eyes, his right eye is almost like drawn perfectly. That's not a real picture.
It looks like an extremely sad Pedro Pascal.
Lewis, it is sadness though. It is an artist. If I take that baseball cap off and do just an artistic rendering of sadness, it would look like the face of Wade
Ernest
Miley.
Hemingway young.
He looks like he's doing reverse people's eyebrow.
Billy, you were that kind of sad this morning, taking the barrage of anger from Stugotz because you hadn't booked him enough interviews. The only reason I keep bringing this up is because you are throwing a big party on Thursday. You're doing it, and I want people to support what you're doing because Stugotz has not made this easy.
Well, you know, we're gonna have something going on Thursday. It's gonna be fun, and what Jess and Tony just said probably will end up being right. Stugotz is gonna have FOMO, and he's gonna wish that he was here. Well, having asked to be
Except then he wouldn't have
there.
actually showed up if he was in Florida.
I mean, here's one of the opportunities in this entire thing, because I learned when we were at ESPN that in a corporate world, you just change the word problem for opportunity. So here's one of the opportunities with this situation is that Stugotz has long wanted to do things from like the Wrigley Sportsbook. So now we're going to be doing something from a DraftKings Sportsbook. So one of the opportunities here is to prove that we can do this from the Sportsbook. So this is good, and there's lots of people involved. So, you know, this is a big opportunity. So if everyone's not on their A game and this doesn't quite pan out, then maybe we won't get as many opportunities moving forward. So we need to make the most of these opportunities.
What I would say to the audience, and this was the last little bit I will sell this today because I do think there is an opportunity here. I believe our show, when watching stuff together, is a place that's contagious. And with this night, you're talking about the draft.
Let's not put a lot of pressure on this situation because there's a lot of moving parts. A lot of plates need to be spun that night because Lucy will be in Detroit. Stugotz will be in Detroit-ish. Lucy will be in Detroit, and we're going to be tossing it back and forth. Here, there, boom, boom. We're going to have people here. We had an offensive line expert, but he had a flight because he's going to a wedding this weekend. Unfortunately, Ian will not be joining us. But the point is, a lot will be going on. So if you put a lot of expectations and pressure on it, then if we fail, a lot of people will be watching us fail.
Yes, and I want a lot of people to be watching you. And I want you to succeed. And what I'm telling you is that sports are going to provide, and please do not let your planning get in the way of how much people would enjoy you watching all of the games that night that aren't just the draft, because sports is pretty magical this week. And you guys doing a live party that isn't just, hey, who's the 11th pick? Let's watch Stugotz fake it as if he's been watching for 3 years.
No, we would not do such things, just that. But it is a big night. A lot of people are going to be tuned into the draft. If sports get in the way, c'est la vie, but I'm not saying that we're going to say we're not going to pay attention to the draft at all. I mean, I'm going to have to see what time the Marlins play because I'm not going to miss a Marlins game. That'd be crazy.
There's going to be a lot. You say a lot of spinning plates. What I'm telling you is that sports will provide. You're going to be live on the air trying to plan the draft, and the failing is part of the funny. You're gonna. It's not to the producers. It never is to the producers.
I don't like that. That's bad vibes.
You just
What
stumble
failure?
around. That things go wrong. You plan them and they go wrong, and that's where
Hijinks
that's where the funniest stuff.
I plan
is.
on soaring tomorrow. I'll have you know.
Okay. And you tell me not to put the expectation.
Well, internally I want to have to soar, but I want to tell people I'm going to soar. People don't want me to soar, and I've accepted that. People want me to fail. But when I fail, I'm a phoenix, and I rise from those ashes, and I soar even higher than before. The problem is I don't want to pull an Icarus and get too close to the sun, because then I'm right back down to where I started. You know what I mean?
I know that you don't want expectations. You've made that clear.
Correct.
And I am placing them on tomorrow. I
No,
expect
let's not do
people
that.
to join Stugotz in Detroit Michigan for the draft to show DraftKings what big supporters they are, that Stugotz can indeed get 5,000 people.
By the way, I reached out to Amber Wilson about if she was ever paid for sports betting, and she responded, eventually, but after at least a year, and only because you guys started publicly shaming him on the local hour. Also, he cut my pay in half for no reason halfway through sports betting and said it would only be a couple months, but that lasted the rest of the show. When he cut my pay in half, he asked if I came from a rich family to soften his guilt.
I'll tell you what, it sounds like Amber Wilson has been waiting for a long time to be asked that question.
Are we sure that she meant for that to be public?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Did you say we were talking about it on the show?
Yes.
Did you come from a rich family? Oh my God.
Oh,
didn't they name a bridge after someone in her family's as?
Yeah, there's like a statue in Sarasota of her family. Yeah, that's true.
The answer was yes, you did, but that doesn't make it right.
I got paid right away. I gotta be honest.
Well, he wanted you to come back. You weren't kind of hooked in, long term. I think, and I could be wrong, there was also like a thought of you're being paid with opportunity.
You're lucky to be here.
I didn't say that. I think maybe there was a thought process.
I got to stop you guys. This is funny watching the room here from behind the whiteboard that I'm hoping that Chris Cody gets to. But what I'm seeing on faces that's funny in the room is that Tony, who loves a good scam, a hustler, sort of admires the things that Stugotz is. But as I look over, Roy, Chris, and Billy are familiar with this creature. But the sheer disgust obvious on the face.
I'm still dealing with it.
Hold on a second. The sheer disgust on the face of Jeremy as he heard this story, and the disgust that Jessica poorly tried to hide behind a pleasant smile, because she, too, had a little throw up in her mouth. You guys have no idea. He is a star, and he behaves like
So,
one.
Hold on. Stugotz was the one that was about Stugotz, just to clarify, because I somehow got lost in that thread. I thought you were talking about someone that I maybe didn't know.
She was also in law school while doing it.
I am deeply regretful that was aired.
Paid an opportunity is just... Are you from a rich family?
That still happens. The paid
It happens constantly.
It's happening for Zaz right now. I just learned that he wasn't paid.
It's why I cut his daughter's lacrosse highlight reels to try to get her into college, because opportunity.
You interned for Stugotz?
Yeah.
No, he did not. He was interning in Washington, and the story. Not my story to tell, but my understanding is, because I know how honest Jeremy will be here, the way that this worked out is that Stugotz reached out to Lorenzo and asked Lorenzo to do it for him, and Lorenzo then gave it off to intern Jeremy, who was interning up at
I was already done
Horn,
interning at Around the Horn. I was already back in school and was asked to cut lacrosse highlight reels for Max Preps for Rachel, and was told I would be paid. But then that quickly turned into, well, buddy, there's a bunch of other girls on the team, and they're really good, so you can cut their reels, and those dads will for sure, they're going to pay you, buddy. And so I got paid by all of them. It wasn't until Abby found out that I hadn't been paid that eventually I got a Venmo from her that was for those highlight
So your
reels.
payment was the introduction to the other money.
Yeah, the introduction to the other money was the way that I got involved. And of course, buddy, I'll help you get on the show for sure. You want to come up in this business, I'll help you get to the Le Batard Show for sure. And, well, that was Chris.
Wasn't your payment, or weren't you paid enough actually in just getting the satisfaction of knowing that you played a small part in getting Rachel into Northwestern and winning a national championship?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting on my ring, but it's fine. I helped someone accomplish their goals, and that's what matters.
Wasn't the payment the relationships you made with the other parents who you made video for?
Who are they? Nothing happened.
Now you're asking the right questions, Az.
If I may suggest, Zaslow, at the risk of helping you produce the draft show that will be on ESPN Radio, I suggest that Amber Wilson address this because I can't believe we just read that on air. I too am disgusted.
She's watching, and she's totally cool that we read that.
Dan, tú tienes pena. ¿Qué te pasa?
I'm embarrassed for him. I'm embarrassed that Stugotz would do that.
Of all the bad things that Stugotz has done, this one's like
it was a little too close to the bone. It went too dark. It was like, it's funny.
this one's not a bit.
Point is, we're doing a show tomorrow. There's lots of opportunities. Yeah.
For so many years, Zaslow, at ESPN, we, because the Panthers always kind of stunk. They never made it to the playoffs, never won playoff games. So the entire time we were at ESPN, our entire hockey conversation for 8 years would be some form of, aren't the playoffs great in hockey? And then we'd move on. We wouldn't talk about any of the details, even though right now in hockey, you have 6 or 7 teams that any of us could say, wow, those are great teams, championship-worthy teams, and it's the first time we've ever said it about our local hockey team.
And that's the goal for our local hockey team. The goal, it's that or it's a failure.
It is, I wouldn't say it's a failure because I can appreciate a team being great, and I can also appreciate if hockey happens and they run into Vegas again or something like Vegas again because the Rangers are also good. They can get knocked out and I will be disappointed, but I will understand that they are still great and hockey just happened to them. It will be my pleasure to watch them eliminate this champion in a sport where Tampa made hockey matter in Florida. And now the lower tip of the peninsula is feeling what is a legitimate hockey town in hockey. No, we want to end them.
Yes.
We want to finish them. We wanted to begin with them, and we want to end their reign.
A lot of sensation right now down here.
And on top of that, what you get is, this is the part of playoff hockey that I really love, okay? Because the goal horn is the best sound in sports. It's the best. When it's on your side, there is no better sound. So you get 3 goal calls from last night, and you got Roy bluffing over here with
bluffing.
You're crazy,
Roy,
man.
go sit in the penalty box. Just go sit in the penalty box, Roy. I'm tired of your bravado.
Okay.
Roy, because you're bluffing about you're watching overtime hockey and you're like, I'm totally relaxed.
You're allowed to be nervous.
You're not human and you don't care enough. If you're someone who's not scared in those moments, there is no sports fan so psychotic as to be Roy, the one who always fails as a Panther fan for 30 years, but now suddenly totally confident that hockey can't happen in overtime. My team's always going to win. It's bull.
You've known me for 20 years. Have you ever seen me nervous at all?
The anxiety, though, when you're watching last night, the anxiety is good. Like I'm watching in horror the entire game, but it's my drugs. The anxiety during big Heat playoff games and big Panther games, I'm a mess the entire game, but it's my drugs. I want it pumped right into my veins, and I can only enjoy the final result after we wind up winning. I love the anxiety. You're sitting there and like, it's cool. I don't even kill.
Doesn't even make sense.
Like, the anxiety is so good.
Yeah, but who are you talking to here? You're talking to me.
Wait,
come on.
Wait,
now.
when we went to Toronto for Luongo getting inducted, I'm pretty sure you called some guy we were interviewing the wrong name.
No, I didn't call him by it. It was Brian McCabe. I didn't call him by the wrong name.
Weren't you nervous?
No, I was cold.
No.
It was
cold.
25
cold.
degrees.
He was cold,
It was
guys.
cold. It was freezing.
So you're now claiming that you're never nervous, Roy.
Yeah.
I don't think you're experiencing it at
Cold
the height
Roy.
that you could be experiencing it.
Well, he's a
then.
journalist, guys. You forget this.
Yeah.
Like, you think he's just some sort of fan.
That's
he's
right, Billy.
impartial. He's up in the press box.
I get what
he
Roy
doesn't
is
root
saying.
for anyone.
Yeah, Roy, it's cold in this room, and
Down the
sometimes
middle.
my teeth chatter, and it makes my voice kind of shaky when I'm talking, and it probably sounds like I'm scared, but I'm actually just freezing because you guys keep this room at 65 degrees like it's an ice rink, and it's not. I'm with Roy, and also if you're giving 2 minutes for bravado, then I'm sorry, half of this room should not be in here. This is the most bravado-filled Miami Heat room in the entire peninsula, full of sensation.
So thank you for bringing this up because I don't feel there has been one voice has been missed in the last 3 days of what has been the crazed insanity of the Miami Heat have played a single playoff game, and this room is threatened to be destroyed from the insides on the level of disagreement about what this team is. Jessica, I have not heard from you as someone who I have noticed when this show suffers some sportsdom, you enjoy it in a way that makes me happy to see.
Yeah, I don't like that.
That our misery, that you speak on behalf of the audience in really relishing that it is funny when teams that are cared about in here lose. And what Roy is denying the audience is, I'm never scared, I'm never nervous. If I give you no emotions, you can never hurt me because I'm never nervous, when you know good and well that Jeremy cares about the results and is himself at the end of games.
He's also impartial.
It's not satisfying to root against the Florida Panthers at all. The Florida Panthers carry none of the Miami Heat rabid fan base vibe that the Miami Heat do. Mostly because Roy is their spokesperson
Less
on
obnoxious.
this show. And
Less obnoxious.
Well, we know we've been losers for 30 years.
That helps. I mean, there's really nothing. I'm not gonna laugh at the Panthers. I'm on RAR. I'm a Panthers fan now.
To Jess's point, I hear a lot of this from our audience. They root against the Heat, but a lot of them have taken the Panthers as their team.
America's team?
Yeah, I mean, like our
I
fans.
wouldn't go that
I think our fans tend to root for the Panthers and root against the Heat because of how we talk about them.
I think that's fair. And if we're talking about the Heat, to be fair, the Heat are playing Boston right now. Yep. And really, it would be funny if both teams could lose the series somehow, because I think most fans of the show would probably fall into Boston or Miami. I don't know.
Be funnier if Boston
either one
lost,
wins
though.
the championship.
But funnier if Boston lost.
Again.
At this
Really
point,
funny.
it would
Again.
be hilarious if they lost the
funnier.
series.
Yeah.
Well, funnier if Boston lost, but I don't think that our audience, the entirety of it, because we've got a much larger audience than just Miami, I think they'd be perfectly happy with the Heat being eliminated today so that we would stop talking about all of it, because they don't want us to become a sports show rabidly emotional about bullshit. But here is the voice of Heat fandom as expressed by Jeremy.
Let's go!
And it's annoying and everyone hates it. Jessica, you just did your roar in a way that was so indifferent. It was so casually indifferent that it gave me nothing. I'm going to need better passion from you. If we're going to have Jeremy's...
Let's go!
You can't
Zaz,
be...
help me out. How do I do this?
Give us a real roar. I mean, let's go!
roar like
No,
that?
put some bass in. Yeah, you got to feel it in your throat. Put some bass into your voice a little bit here.
Yeah, be
Nobody's
careful.
scared of that thing you just
go!
did there.
But it was indifferent. You'd agree that there wasn't a lot of passion behind your roar.
Yeah.
Come on, it's an endangered species. Get behind it. Let's go.
I think if I had to rank it, Dan, it would be like the Hurricanes. No one wants to see them win anything. God. The Heat are that's a 1A, 1B situation with the Hurricanes and the Heat.
That's
but
the
then
list.
It's
a good
the
list.
Marlins, I think, Dolphins maybe third. Marlins and Panthers, it's like if Billy's happy, then I'm happy. If Roy's happy, then I'm happy. If anyone else is happy, I'm probably not happy. Sorry.
It's a great list.
Appreciate you.
I can't believe that in some ways here, sports has brought you guys together, and where Mike Ryan resides and Jeremy reside, it threatens to tear us all apart.
Wait, I have a question, Roy. If you are impartial and you don't feel like the nervousness, are you allowed to feel happiness if they win? Or are you not allowing yourself happiness either?
Yeah, what's your reaction when they score the winning goal and over? Like, is it a fist pump? What do you do?
Yeah, it's
You're
Dan
being
with the
quiet
fist
in the
pump.
press box guy?
Yeah, I'm crying.
Well, you can't do that.
Well, it's like Dan, the fist pump, when Udonis Haslam scored that bucket.
I imagine it's like, you know how Dan, you said your dad and Whitty both do the thing where they flip people off under the steering wheel. It's like that, but it's a fist pump under the steering wheel. You're like,
Well, you got to be careful in
Tiger
that press
Woods.
box. Tim Reynolds will come for you.
I don't think you're enjoying it the way that you should be enjoying it, dude.
Well, I'd go another route. If you want to judge his fandom, and I understand what you're saying has some disappointment, because yes, he's got to be objective. He's a journalist. I maintain that one day his name and a picture will be somewhere in the press box saying this is where Roy ate potato chips cathedral.
Right next to Jeff Rimmer.
He's been going for a long time. But what you're describing is how you watch games is absolutely, to me, feels like you're Dexter of sports fans.
Whoa! Wow.
Like there's a psychosis there that I don't even understand, that you don't fear or care enough to be broken by. It's overtime, and I know I'm unreasonable about how I care about this. I'm scared of it. This is not fun. Why? I'm an adult. I'm a parent. I shouldn't care about this way. But my sports identity is tied up right now in whether we're 1-1 or 2-0, and I'm scared of the Tampa Bay Lightning because all I've seen for the last 5 years is they win in these spots.
So I'm a sociopath, basically.
I'm saying
no, you're lying. It's very clear you're lying. It's not the truth. You're like, you would shoot yourself in the foot with a nail gun and be like, that didn't hurt. and then you'd bleed out and die, and that's how you get your face in the Panthers press box because it happened at the Panthers arena. But like, you enjoy this, you like this, you're nervous when it happens. You're
like,
lying
are you embarrassed that if you get excited, people are gonna look at you like, wow, you're a super unprofessional guy? Are you embarrassed by that?
No, that's just not how I go through life. I'm very even keeled, very stoic person.
All right, because like I was on the Heat broadcast for 13 years. We won I got 2 championship rings. I'm a 2-time champion broadcaster.
We've mentioned that already.
And
we've established that.
I was still a maniac sitting there next to Mike Inglis and John Karate. Like hey, you all know who I am, right? I'm not hiding anything. I think you could get excited, man. They're like, oh yeah, it's Roy.
He's judging your lack of joy, Roy. He's saying Roy's joy is something that you're doing it all wrong.
What are we doing it for otherwise?
Well, I'm keeping my joy internal. How about
Why?
that? Is that better for you?
Why?
Zaz, you can't hide yours. That's why.
Externalize it.
Well, you're right. I can't. And you know what? You put me here. You know who I am. I don't need to introduce. You know what this is.
I definitely knew who you were this morning when I said the name of the guy who runs HBO.
Zaslow.
Yeah. Let's go.
Cheaters never prosper.
Speaking of joy, also Sports Bang alum.
That's correct. Joy Taylor, one of the many proud South Florida sports stories. Chris, are you going to go to your whiteboard now and tell us what you were dealing with in traffic?
Yes, I am. Okay, here we go. We have a classic right here.
That traffic's on the record.
We got two lanes of cars. This went back dozens of cars. 2 lanes of cars here.
Those rectangles are cars.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Where is?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, where's your car?
You said there was a guy up on the curb. There's nobody up on the curb.
I'm trying to get there, folks.
Also, like the parking lanes. Like, are they here and you're already like in the thing? Like, is this a canal into the lanes or no?
A canal.
I don't know what you're talking about. So this is a curb. Yeah. There's a curb right here. There's 2 curbs.
Okay, just give me a second.
Curb your
Chris,
enthusiasm for a second.
for people who don't understand where this arena is, because this is funny. This is swampy marshland. This arena is sinking.
Yes, Dan, it's Florida.
Physically into the earth.
No, but this is the Everglades.
But this has nothing to do with this story.
The Everglades have nothing to do with the story?
It does. The reason that it has something to do with the story is only what I'm about to tell you, which is this is the vastest of parking lots that has as many exit ramps as you could possibly have. In the history of South Florida, nothing has been built better than this in terms of getting traffic out of a place because it's the Everglades. There's space for miles. It's just sinking into the sea.
And I found one of the rare lanes where they're converging. It's 2 lines of cars right here on the left, right here on the right, converging into one. So when you're exiting up top here, there's only 1 lane of cars.
This is past the point of the different lanes of parking spaces, is what I'm asking.
This is just leaving a parking lot.
No, I know, but no, this is like when you're in a parking lot at an arena, there's multiple lanes, and then you can kind of just cut in at any point. This is beyond that point.
Now, which car are you? Can you put like your initials,
put you,
maybe?
That's a good idea.
I'll be here.
Put a little star.
A little CC on the left here. Okay, so this guy, old guy with his wife, was way back here, and he decided, I'm not waiting in this line. I am going to hop on this curb. So he had 2 of his tires here and 2 up on the curb.
Be careful for the canals.
So he's driving now. So he is skipping the line, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, this mother, what does he think he's doing? So now he's
power,
here.
really.
So
what kind of car was it?
So he ended up right here. And this car decided, you know what? This guy's come far enough. We're not letting him in.
Yeah.
So we trapped this guy here, and all the cars started moving. And this guy who skipped like 8 people was stuck right there. And when I got up there,
how did those cars behind that car move? If that car was stopped there,
because it was up on the curb, so people were still able to go. But people just had to do that thing where it's
like a bottleneck.
Guy set a pick.
People were inching, people were on each other's asses. It was just, I am not letting you through. So I get up to the spot now. I'm, of course, not going to let him in either.
Shockingly, I'm following this.
But I have to say something. So I get up to this part. Once my car
Did anybody else say anything?
No, there was not a lot of comments.
You're the driver.
I'm the driver.
So you have to scream over a passenger.
I rolled down the passenger window.
So should things go awry,
and this guy, when he saw my window go down, he put his window down. And I go, cheaters never prosper.
Now, how much thought did you put into what you were going to say before? Like, was it the first thing that came to your mind? Oh, let me say it.
It's just what I thought he was doing. I thought this guy was trying to cheat.
How much time elapsed in this whole process?
I would say the guy jumped the curb, and I watched him get probably for like 5 minutes. It took me to get up to him.
3 cars
I was
moving.
For 5 minutes. I was watching everyone just like, nope, not letting you in, not letting you in. So when I got up there, I had to say something, and I said it. Cheaters never prosper. And I'm telling you,
Where is that
this,
from?
It's just a saying I have.
Where did it start is what you're
Like,
asking?
that's a phrase, right?
Yes.
And
That's your saying.
It's my saying. I'll
No,
take it.
you're
I
asking.
think
No,
it's
it's
a
a
10th
cliche.
commandment.
It's a cliche. It's not a 10 commandment. Is it biblical though? I don't think it's biblical
so.
either.
I'm sure
Moses
there's something
said it,
in there.
I
Yeah.
And the guy's getting yelled at. A part that I didn't sell the first time telling this, the guy's wife is just yelling at him the whole time. She hates that he did the
okay,
thing.
but this is where I think the sociology of this gets interesting, okay? Because you guys should be joyous. Everyone's leaving a Panthers game gloriously. We're slaying the dragon. This is a glorious time to be a Panther fan. But you are now yelling at somebody across other cars and across a passenger seat where I'm assuming you and your buddy, you've talked out, hey, look at this.
I think my buddy was saying not today.
Yeah, but you're
not today.
okay, so
I think that was what he was adding.
Yeah,
That would've
that's
been
so
better.
much
That's
better.
better.
I'm telling you, the response I got from this guy, what I
It's
said was
better.
amazing.
I like
He got him.
Cheaters never
Yeah.
prosper. This guy yelled as angry as he could. I ain't cheating.
I think I would have
Team
been on
Chris
his
here.
side. I would have
Yeah.
looked at you like, what did you say?
Nah, I'm
Yeah.
Team
I'm
Chris.
telling you, me and my friend, the rest of the way home, all
Cheaters
we
never
kept saying was,
prosper.
I ain't cheating.
I know, but I think
Because
he
he's
got,
just like,
I
why'd
think
you
he
say
got
that?
your ass. I think he got
Oh,
your
no.
ass.
I got
no
his
way.
ass.
Chris won this one
Oh,
for sure. Not
1,000%.
pathetic.
Your
Prophetic.
ally, Jeremy.
Ballet.
It was great.
Did you ever think of saying something else?
Yeah.
No, what
Not
else?
today is great.
Cheaters never prosper is exactly, that's a perfect saying for right there.
What did Lee Harvey Oswald yell when he shot
Yeah.
Lincoln? Sic semper tyrannis. It's from Seinfeld.
Yeah, I would have went with what your friend said.
Yeah.
Not today is great.
Not today, pal.
With a finger wag, like a Matumbo finger wag, that would have been great.
Yeah, what you said, I would lose that.
Yeah. Don't do that one again.
Can you find for me the origins, please, of cheaters never prosper? Because I did just think it was something biblical, but it doesn't seem. It's the never prosper that makes me feel that way. I don't think it is. And so now I want to know what it is. Chris is saying, and it's ridiculous, he's saying what else could be said? It's the perfect thing. It's not only
He's
that
trying to cheat, and I'm letting him know, hey, you try to take a shortcut? Not today.
you're getting to impart across 2 lanes of traffic your moral judgment. of
I ain't
him.
cheating!
No, but your principled stand of that. Look, we might be in traffic, and I might be denying my joy to instead partake in rage. Not today, but also I'm going to infringe on all the things in your life by showing you you're a bad person, I'm a good one, and there's no prosperity in you being that kind of bad.
There's a Cheaters Never Prosper trivia team out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Not helpful. Not helpful.
I've got it
in
from
any
Oxford
way.
Reference, if you'd like.
Boring.
The saying is recorded from the early 19th century, but a related idea with an ironic twist is found in John Harrington's epigrams of the early 17th century. Treason doth never prosper. What's the reason? For if it prosper, none dare call it
That would have
treason.
been better.
The Book of John.
Shall
Bible.
not pass.
That would have been good.
I've noticed that Jeremy doesn't have any of the self-consciousness that professional broadcaster Chris Whittingham had about the pressure of reading, because Chris Cody has choked a couple of times under the weight of having to read for the show. When you were reading Old English with stumbles and the broadcaster in you, Chris Whittingham would have ravaged his own face off. If
I
he
just
had-
persevered. That's how you
Yeah.
got to do it. Look, when things are live, when you're going through a live broadcast, you have to just persevere whether there's a tumble or not. These are the types of things that you learn if you're a professional broadcaster, like me. Not with a championship ring yet, though, Zaslow.
Have you ever
Not yet.
felt
Two.
so you don't feel the pressure of reading the way Chris Cody? We were overhearing one time. It's one of my favorite moments of vulnerability where we surreptitiously taped someone who did not know they were being listened to. And didn't you have some trouble with the reading in a way that was
You
uncomfortably?
mean the betting company that I read the ad for, and then I made a lot of money because of that bad read that I did? I knew I was being recorded. I didn't know you guys were watching me do it. I was doing an ad read, and I was just butchering it, and you guys saw me on Zoom just like mother effing myself because I couldn't read.
Well, which one feels worse, though? The pressure of reading?
I'm much
like
better
that?
at it now. Like, we're about to do Against the Spread in a little bit. I'm going to crush that read. Are you kidding me?
You ready to
Draft
do it right
Krings.
now?
He also made, to what he said, a lot of money. So how much could he really feel bad about that?
Well, just the vulnerability of reading is something that people are here around
say he
here are
prospered.
self-conscious about. Okay, yeah, he did prosper.
It's time for Against the Spread. And and it is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Roy, get us going.
All right, we got game 2 of the Kings and Oilers tonight. The Oilers won 7-4 in game 1. I think that's going to continue. Go with the Oilers as a favorite by 1.5 goals against the spread.
Roy, come on, Roy. Against the spread.
Against the,
Jessica.
Roy, it's always going to be joyless.
Tonight, Heat Celtics. 14.5 points is the spread. I'm taking the Heat.
Really?
How you love that?
Why?
How you love that?
Why are you taking the Heat? Any particular reason?
I mean, no.
Okay.
There you go.
They narrowed the gap in the fourth quarter, and then they widened the gap again. But they narrowed it for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed on behalf of DraftKings that we don't have better gambling analysis.
Well, you know they want people to lose, right? That's how they make money.
Whoa! All right. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans tonight.
Norgan.
I think the...
Hold on, Tone. Hold on.
Trying to save a teammate here, Dano.
I heard you stumbling through it. Billy, go walk in traffic.
Whoa!
I take the Panthers plus 1.5.
Against the spread.
The Dogs?
Against the spread.
Also, put it on the poll, Juju. Does DraftKings want you to lose?
Let's not put that one up.
Why not? Rising executive Billy at Meadowlark Media.
I think that was enough. We could leave it there.
Why? Why shouldn't he sink into it?
All right, I'm taking the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think Shane Gilgeous-Alexander is doing an incredible job. I think he broke the Pelicans' spirit.
Wait, who?
Shane Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, you know.
You know, Dan. Don't
Come on, Dan.
Don't act brand new, Dano.
You've
Don't
watched
act brand new with
basketball.
me. Stop that. Oklahoma City Thunder minus 7.5 tonight. I'm taking the Thunder.
Norgan.
Against the spread.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, I
because
just
they
think-
broke their spirit. I said that already.
Okay, so that's
last game. Shane Gilgeous-Alexander hit a clutch shot to break the Pelicans. It was a neck and neck game.
Right.
Oh, sorry, Detroit, Michigan fell. It was a neck and neck game. Shane Gilgeous-Alexander broke their spirit, and I think they're going to cover 7.5 tonight.
Okay, so broken spirit
broken
is the
spirit,
analysis.
exactly. No Zion Williamson, broken
Okay,
spirit.
The part that I'm trying to explain to you guys, okay, as someone who is compromising whatever journalistic integrity I have left in my career, shilling for a good old gambling company. We want you to bet on these games because it is fun to bet on these games. But everywhere else on the DraftKings Network, DraftKingsNetwork.com, the analysis is exceptional. In the lineup of things that we have happening here, we're the outlier with we come in here and give you gambling advice. Juju's very good at it. The rest of our show stinks. Juju takes great pride in it. Juju does analysis. Juju is careful about it. The rest of our team is just reckless with other people's money, and Billy's reckless enough to tell DraftKings, tell everybody, the great big secret that the gambling companies want you to lose.
So you don't think the Heat are going to cover?
I don't know. I'm torn on that one.
Zaslow, bring us home.
Yeah, I do. I'm actually going to treetop what Tony said there. I think the Thunder win big tonight. Blowouts breed unders. So under 211.5. Thunder Pelicans.
Against the spread.
Against the spread.
Against the spread. Against the spread.
Broken spirit, right, Zaslow?
Against the spread.
Okay, but why are you guys doing this? The real analysis of that game, because the Pelicans without Zion, I've been, as interesting as the basketball playoffs are to me, the fact that so many people are hurt at the starting point of this so that we can see whether OKC is really going to be tested, because as a young team, I only see two teams that I think can play with the Celtics, and I think it's Denver and OKC, maybe Minnesota.
Yeah, thank you, Dano.
Maybe Minnesota, but those are the teams that I think might give Boston a challenge. But the knock on OKC is they're young, and everybody's waiting around in their first playoff game to say, wait a minute, how'd you get held to the 90s once it becomes playoff basketball, and now the refs are going to hold the game in the mud?
Yeah, I'm not with you on the Thunder. I think the Thunder get past this series. I think that was the game they, had a little bit of scare put into them. But for me, it's Denver and I think Minnesota. I think Minnesota can give Boston a run as well. Not OKC.
Phoenix is going to make it look different in Phoenix.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Not taking that against the spread.
That's always the analysis when anyone is up 2-0. That's always the analysis. And then somebody steals a game. This man is a Super Bowl champion. He is somebody, usually in the shadows, these offensive guys, now that there are Kelce's roaming around, some of the interior linemen are showing their personalities and stuff. But this guy has interest in video. He has interest in being creative. And last year he had a 4-year deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. So thank you, Orlando Brown Jr., for joining us. And I just wanted to show you something as we got started here, because Chris Cody's father, Greg Cody, is very proud of his mock draft. Chris, what is this grainy video you're showing us from 1964 here of your father promoting? What's he promoting?
Well, first I want to tell Orlando that my dad is a writer for the Miami Herald. It'd be weird if my dad, just like this, my producer's dad wanted to do a mock draft.
Okay, so sorry, Orlando, a person who does the show, our show, has a dad figure who's an old-timey newspaper writer. Go ahead, Chris.
And he is excited about his mock draft. He tries to predict all the first-round picks, and he's trying to get his audience excited for the draft. So I want to play this video for you and get your thoughts on it.
All right.
Hey, Instagrammies. Greg here. It's a big day. It's a big day. It's release day for my 33rd annual NFL mock draft. Find it online. Book it. Bank it. It's big. It's extremely big, and I got nothing else to say.
He's out of
mock
material.
draft,
so bad.
that kind of thing.
Orlando, please tell me how sad that video was.
So bad.
I mean, that is some funny though. That's some funny right there though. That's top of the line. And he's talking that shit. He must know something.
He doesn't.
He must know
Big.
something.
It's extremely big.
Extremely big. Holy cow.
Hey, yo.
That's all right.
If you wanted to make your front camera that blurry, what would you put, like lotion on it? Like, what do you think is on the front of his camera?
That's the first thing that came to my mind. He must have just took a phone call or something. I was like, I mean, there's just no way in hell. I'm like, but you know, sometimes, man, older people are like that. How old is your dad, bro?
69.
Makes plenty of sense. Hell yeah, I love it.
Do you find, and I love when there's a personality like you hiding in the trenches, because the offensive linemen have to be so careful about, I don't know, they seem very scared publicly about causing a distraction. So it's pleased me to see you exploring your creative side, because you're like, okay, I've had great success. Now I can have the confidence of playing around with some creative things. It's nice to see, and it's rare. It's few people get that kind of confidence this early in life.
Yeah, well, man, I've been very blessed and fortunate. You know, obviously my dad played in the NFL. My mom has a history in broadcasting, so I feel like I spend a lot of time being myself. And something my parents always vocalized to me was be yourself and be expressive in that way. And you know, kind of what you guys see with the mini mics, or anytime I'm mic'd up, messing around with teammates or anything like that. That's just me being me. And I've always been like that, man. And you know, it's weird because offensive linemen, as you noted, you know, they get the stigma of being the quiet guy, the more reserved people, you know, and it's not that I'm necessarily attention seeking, but I'm going to be me. And, you know, I'm a somewhat of a loud personality, not annoying, but a loud personality.
It's so rare though. It really is unusual. Yeah. You don't fit necessarily, do you? Because there are so few I've met in my entire career that are this comfortable being like, okay, I don't need to be as reserved as everyone at this conservative position tends to be.
Yeah, not at all. You know, and you know, also too, you know, you got to keep in mind, offensive line is such a physical position, and you're always battling. And, you know, this person that you guys see right now, I mean, I'm not this dude on the field when the helmets and shoulder pads come on, you know, and my competitive side comes out, and I'm able to be somewhat the aggressive side of myself. And so, you know, I think all of that stuff kind of goes hand in hand.
OB, when you talk about the mic'd up thing, what percentage of it doesn't make air? Like the stuff that you hear and say inside the trenches, inside the line. Can you give us like a little bit of a taste of it?
OB.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I've had some battles, man. You know, one of my favorite guys to compete against is my teammate now, Trey Hendrickson, and we've had some battles, talking plenty of cash money shit. And you know, it gets really vulgar in there. It definitely gets personal, but not to the extent of anything extremely disrespectful. More so within the game. But I mean, it's a lot of trash talking, man. I've guys have said all different types of things, and a lot of times, to be honest, man, some of your better players are normally your better talkers too. So
how about this? Me and you, we do a side business together, right? We take this to the NFL. We give them the mic'd up rated R version, right? But you have to put it behind a paywall, and then we get to hear what you guys actually say, but you got to pay for it.
Oh man, I mean, dude, that
50-50,
would do numbers, bro. That would do numbers, and I'm with that.
How's your trash talk in traffic? We were talking earlier about I had an incident where I hit somebody who was trying to, cut a bunch of people off. I hit somebody with cheaters never prosper. How do you feel about that one?
That's crazy,
bro. Oh, I'm not a big road rage guy. I kind of got a lot to lose. I'm also big as hell, so I don't think anyone necessarily will use fists to fight me. But I'm not a big trash talker in traffic. I have had the bird thrown up at me a few times, but that quote, that's a hell of a quote, though. I don't know what I would respond to that with.
Well, what the guy responded with was,
I ain't cheating.
That's funny.
So what do you do when people kind of start something with you because you're so big?
And that is probably one of the most rare of occasions, man. I don't think anybody has done any stupid like that since maybe I was like 13 years old. I don't like a very, very, very rare situation where someone is going to approach me in that manner. I really, in my adult life, even in college, they'd be a fool playing.
Have you ever had a situation where you're in a spot where there's an altercation, you're sitting, so you don't do anything aggressive, but just to give the idea of your size, you just simply stand up and it all ends right there?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but I think I'm definitely somewhat normal looking. Sometimes you see bigger people and they're kind of funny looking. You know what I mean? Like something's up. I don't know, like a funny feature, nose, ears, eyes, face looks weird. I somewhat look normal. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times what happens to me is, people see me sitting down and then I stand up and they're like, holy, like you're way bigger than I thought you were.
That's always the response, I would imagine. I don't think anyone has any idea the size and strength of what has to be out there to win a championship. I don't think the average human being. Can you articulate it to them?
Yeah, just in terms of size, like
well, when it comes to you, the thing that I'm amazed by with everything you guys do is I don't know what someone like you, your build, what you find strong. Like when you're up against somebody, I would imagine when I'm watching football and I see Myles Garrett, I'm like, that person's just stronger than everyone he's playing against.
Yeah, he's a very strong individual. A lot of times for me myself, man, I'm a big dude and I pack a big punch. I'm heavy as hell. I do a good job creating leverage with my hands and my hand and arm angles and things like that. But, there are guys, man, and there are times where, a guy like Myles Garrett is incredibly strong. And, that's more so his functional strength, his ability to bend in the ankles, the knees, the hips, and create leverage through that type of movement and explosion. So, man, it's very football, especially offensive line, offensive tackle is a very, very difficult position to play, period. But, man, every now and again, you run up against those freak athletes, man. And, guys like Myles Garrett, incredibly strong football player.
Draft day is tomorrow. You were drafted. How stressful is that for someone who's in the process of being drafted?
Man, very stressful, man. For me, it's always so weird because for so long, you've been on the team. I was in college for 4 years, in high school, and it's like that transition to the pros. Is somewhat a little bit strange because it's a lot of uncontrollables and it's a lot that you don't know that's going to happen. Or, I was told I was going to be a top 100 pick. I could go anywhere between 20 and 100, you know what I mean? But it's that's a lot of picks, and that's also 2 different days. So, it's a lot of uncertainty, you know what I mean? That kind of comes with it, man. It's extremely stressful in the weirdest way, but everything goes away, man, when you get that call. I remember getting that call from the Baltimore Ravens and, seeing that 410 area code come up, man, and Ozzie Newsome on the other line. At that point, man, nothing else mattered, man. I was just happy to have the opportunity.
If you're a draft prospect, are you memorizing area codes so you know as soon as it pops up on your phone who it is?
Hell yeah. I got a call from Lincoln Riley. Coach Riley called me in the middle of like day 2. And I can't remember, maybe he had just spoke to a team or something. And he called me. And I remember because I had stepped away from the TV. It probably was, man, late second round at this time. And my phone was facing down and I was like, oh, who is it? It's like Coach Riley. I'm like, damn, what the hell does he want? And
not today, Lincoln.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, I kind of tried to keep up with the area codes everywhere.
There's a story of former player Larry Izzo having to use the bathroom, but he couldn't leave the field, so he had to poop in a bucket. And because he pooped in a bucket, he was able to stay on the field, and again got a game ball for that. Have you ever witnessed something happening like that?
From Belichick, a game ball. Excellent question. Roy, have you ever witnessed someone on the sidelines?
I've never seen on the sideline. I've seen someone themselves. I've seen somebody take on a double team themselves. But thank God, I guess we didn't have white pants on. But
who shit
I can't.
Who?
Not just name dropping. No name. No name dropping. No name. But you know who you are, and you know yourself. That's just plainly put.
Can I get from you? I don't know if I push it when you say that there are some guys who are talkers, because I believe that you would find stimulating the challenge of ad lib. If I made you put together a top 5 list right now of guys that you had to rank in order, talkers that you've faced against, even though you're not much talker, you say they tend to be the best players. Can you put that list together for me? Would you give me 5 names in reverse order?
Yeah, I'll try to give you the best in order. Jadeveon Clowney, Melvin.
Hold on. Yes, that's number 5. Jadeveon Clowney. Do you have a memorable back and forth with him? He seems like a terribly menacing man.
Yeah, he is very menacing, man. We have a lot of competitive battles, but it's just a lot of talking out there. He's a great athlete. He knows he's a really good player, and he got a great feel for the game too, man. He's got a great IQ. So, everything is, I guess you could say he's playing chess with his shit talking, but he's really good at what he does.
Okay, but he doesn't seem, I'd not heard before that, and this is a strong list if you're starting with him at number 5, I'd not heard before that he was strong here. He seemed like the quiet type. He tells you how good he is.
Yeah. He's gonna talk a little. You know what I mean? Like he might, take a little shot here and there, all for fun and games within the game, man. But he's a guy, man, I love competing against. He's gonna talk a little trash.
Number 4.
Travis Kelce. I gotta put T. Kelce in there, man. T. Kelce's gonna talk that now, and he's gonna do his job at a high level. He's gonna let you know that he's doing his job. I probably should have him higher on my list, but I'm gonna leave him at 4 now. He's a baller now. I've seen him do some funny stuff.
A good list.
Say some funny stuff.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, I'm gonna go with Melvin Ingram. Melvin caught me plenty of times. I played with him in Kansas City. My rookie year, we played there on a Saturday night, and I remember he made a comment to me, and I kind of figuratively shot myself in the foot. I don't want to butcher it, but I think it was like he said something to me. He said something to me like, "You sorry as hell," and I was like, "You sorry as hell too." And he's like, "You admitted that you sorry." And I was
got
like,
you
"Oh,
out there.
shit." All right,
Yeah, you got you.
all right. You too then.
You really got checkmated there.
Yeah,
You did admit you were sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But he's on my list. He's a dog. Number two, Brandon Graham, Philadelphia. Hey, everybody knows BG gonna talk that trash, man. He's a great football player. I mean, he's a ton of respect just around the league. But I had a joint practices against him my second year up there in Philadelphia, and then I played him my third year. Played him in the Super Bowl. lot of talking between me and BG, man. Just a lot of back and forth. But it's all fun and games within the game, man. I got a lot of respect for him.
And finally, number one.
I got to go with my man Trey Hendrickson, man. It's just shit. Hey, it's just it's a dogfight. If I imagine if Rocky Marciano talked, it'd be how Trey Hendrickson does it. I don't know what that means, but there you go.
It sounds good though.
White guy talking.
Exactly. There we go.
You're an ambassador for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. This is something that means something to you. I'm sure our audience fell in love with you. To learn more and help support the worldwide effort to end type 1 diabetes, you want to go, what is the website that you want people to go to? What is it that you want them to do?
Visit jdrf.org, man. It's type 1 has pretty much been in my family, man, forever. My dad passed of ketoacidosis when I was 15, which is a form of a diabetic coma. My brother was diagnosed with type 1 at 8 years old. I was 9 at the time. Both of my grandparents, man, passed of complications of it. So it's just something that hits home for me, man. I've spent a lot of time around it, man. One of my best friends, Mark Andrews in Baltimore, who went to college together and played together in Baltimore. And, I've seen it firsthand with him being an athlete and my brother. And so, it's a cause that hits home for me, man. And continuing to, fight to make things more affordable for diabetics, whether that be pumps, insulin, whatever it may be. And, just continuing to, look and research for a cure as well.
Do not let them alter you with their conservative ways, sir. Thank you for being on the show with us. Travis Kelce said that when you left Kansas City, he said, quote, it hurts my soul, man. It hurts my soul. It's like watching your best friend just turn evil on you. Yeah. You're somebody that he loves and loved, but now you're on the other team, so you got to go away. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Look at her. We're just throwing Mina Kimes right on the draft treadmill. Get on the draft treadmill.
No.
You got to run as fast as you can. You got to give us maximum draft information. Why is JJ McCarthy climbing? Why is Penix not the best quarterback in this draft? Are you getting smoke screened and interested in every angle of this? Because I do not like this particular night or this weekend in our lives.
Why do you not like it?
Oh, my God.
Oh, I'm morally against all drafts on account of...
Mina, he covered the draft and took a sabbatical for 6 months right after covering the draft.
The commerce of it makes me sad. The limits and the celebration of a system that keeps costs down. It makes me sad.
I know. I agree that the draft truly offends my moral belief that people should be paid what they're worth. And that's a drive into deep left field by Castellanos. Let's talk about the draft. Ask me anything.
Go ahead, guys. Have at it. She's a draft expert and she eats this stuff up.
McCarthy, why are we everybody getting high on their own supply of JJ McCarthy? We saw him get hit the entire season, Mina.
I think that it's debatable whether they were hiding him versus whether they were, and by they I mean, of course, Jim Harbaugh and Michigan playing in a way that worked, obviously. They were also playing with a lead a lot, so there wasn't a reason in a lot of games for him to throw them out of trouble. Teams like him because a couple reasons. Teams love the unknown, right? So there's a small sample size, so you can project anything you want onto JJ McCarthy. He is a perfect canvas upon which NFL GMs can paint their fantasies, but he also has some pretty good traits: accuracy, athleticism. I think he's smart. Would I take him in the top 3? No, and I don't think he'll go in the top 3.
A lot of times people do deep dives, they grind tape. I know you've been grinding tape, and there's a lot of good tape out there. Who's someone that's being talked about as a first-round talent that you can see the metrics and the promise, but the tape actually doesn't support this?
Ooh. I am a little bit apprehensive of Xavier Worthy, who is the receiver who broke the 40 record out of Texas, who is being talked about as going in the first round because of his speed. But when you put on the tape, I don't really see him as a first-round receiver. I also have concerns about his size. He looks small on tape. He plays small. But I think that speed is going to be very alluring to certain NFL teams.
Mina, who is the best player in this year's draft?
I think it's Marvin Harrison Jr. To me, he is as close as it gets to like a perfect receiving prospect, as I've seen in some time. And what's wild is there's 3 receivers in this draft that I feel almost equally about, but he is just so complete as a player, Stu. I mean, his route running is unbelievable. His athleticism, his speed, I think, is somehow underrated. And then he does it all at 6'4", which is wild. So he has the size prototype you want to.
Who's the team that you can see trading out of the first couple of picks?
The first couple of picks,
Yeah.
I don't think either team will.
Really? I'm saying first couple as in the first 5, let's say, because I know the
First 32, let's say.
The Patriots have been taking calls. I know Arizona's on the clock.
Okay, the first few picks. Okay,
Please
yeah.
give me more. Yes, please.
Sorry, I didn't mean
First
to
couple of
be,
picks. Where there's going to be a trade.
Good
First
question.
4 picks, 5 picks, 6 picks.
Dan, your
couple I meant a few.
enthusiasm is palpable. I think that 5, it's 4 or 5. I think Patriots stick at 3 and take a quarterback. So you're looking at 4 or 5 as the JJ McCarthy destinations. You got 2 teams in Arizona and LA that have a ton of needs on their roster. So I think both are probably taking a lot of calls. At this point, it feels like Arizona's going to stick and take Harrison Jr. because they do have that extra first rounder and a third. And so LA is the team that I would look to as a trade down for a team that wants to jump the Giants to get McCarthy.
Mina, just out of curiosity, when you say take calls, like, are they still doing it that way, or are they texting?
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like anyone's taking calls anymore.
I thought you had a question.
The NFL and their obsession with secrecy, there's no way they're texting. And there was a video actually from last year's draft of Monty Osifort, who is the Cardinals' new GM, actually working the phones, like literally on the phone, taking calls to do the trade with the Texans.
But Mina, the last time you were on with us, you were telling us, never mind Harrison, you were saying this is the best crop of receivers that you had ever seen.
Look at you.
Yeah, I believe that.
getting
I
them.
think at least 5 go in the first round. The question will be how many after Brian Thomas and Adonai Mitchell, whether there are other receivers that sneak into the bottom of the first round. The Chiefs at 32 are a team, a lot of folks, myself included, the Ravens, the Niners, they're all picking at the bottom. You're looking at and you're wondering if some of those other receivers, like your Lad McConkeys, your Jalen Polks, your Roman Wilsons, your Xavier Leggettes, somehow sneak up there.
Pick that the Dolphins could make at 21 that would impress you the most.
Ooh, if somehow, I don't think he will be, but if Troy Fautanu out of UW is there, that would be amazing. Amarius Mims. Troy is offensive tackle. A lot of people think he play guard in the NFL. Mims is a tackle who didn't play a lot at Georgia, but was exceptional. Basically, any of the top, I would say 10 or so offensive linemen. That's how many are probably going to go in this draft. I think would be good picks, but don't sleep on the interior of the defensive line. If somehow Byron Murphy Jr., I don't think he will be, out of Texas, is still there at 21, I would take him over the offensive lineman.
Earlier this week, Greg Cody speculated the Dolphins may trade out of the first round, and we're doing a draft watch-along through the Dolphins pick. Are we going to have to stay watching with the Dolphins not making a pick in the first round?
You don't have to. I do think, though, if they trade down, there's a good chance it would be with one of the teams picking near the top of the second. And so you would want to trade to see who comes off of the board so that you know who's going to be available to you in the second round.
Front offices and the analytics community have fallen in love with the off-ball linebacker, but it's typically a position where you find a lot of value. Will we see a sea change and people start reaching for off-ball linebackers in this draft?
Sea change.
No. This is a really, really not great linebacker or running back draft. But linebacker in particular, I think maybe one will go in the second round. I would be surprised because, it's not a great class. And then so few linebackers have succeeded quickly in the NFL. I mean, everybody loves the Lions draft last year, but I would say their other pick, not Jahmyr Gibbs, but Jack Campbell, struggled year one. And that's been the case with most linebackers taken in the first couple rounds over the last few years.
Mina, if you owned an NFL team, I'm wondering who does this the best. Who would you select to do your drafting?
I think Eric DeCosta at the Ravens has done a phenomenal job following Ozzie Newsome, who was one of the best drafting GMs in recent NFL history. So, yeah, he would be my pick.
Baltimore, organizationally, you can make an argument for them. Yeah. If not for the Patriots, they would have dominated the sport in an unusual way.
Yeah, I mean, I thought John Harbaugh, pardon me, it's going to be a thing. should have been in. I considered him as a coach of the year candidate last season. I think everything that they've done has been so smart, the way that they've managed their roster. But they're challenged, though. A huge exodus of coaching talent defensively. Seattle, we have their former defensive coordinator, but you've got coaches leaving. You've got players leaving on defense. You got to replace half the offensive line. So they have to nail this draft.
Mina, best name in the draft. If I go Chop Robinson, is there one better than Chop Robinson?
Wow.
There's Kool-Aid McKinstry, who I feel like Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid's pretty good.
Pretty good.
There's a receiver from Pitt named Bub Means. I feel like Kool-Aid has to get a draft bump purely because his name is Kool-Aid. The funny thing about Chop Robinson is he doesn't really have a chop move, and he's a pass rusher.
He should, right?
Okay, well, yeah.
Maybe we could
for
teach him
reasons
one
beyond
of
his nickname.
chop and swim
he really
over.
doesn't have a super
swim
developed
move,
set of pass rush moves. So I feel like he's not really living up to his nickname.
Setting the quarterbacks aside for a second, which player in the NFL draft, depending on the team that they land on, can make the biggest impact day one? I'm not saying the best player, but the most impactful to a team's chances.
I mean, I think all three of those receivers are going to be studs. I think they're all going to be productive from the jump, in part because you guys, Dan, sort of going off of what we've been talking about with receivers, rookie receivers just make an impact so often now. This is something we've seen now, right, for a few years. It's not like the linebacker position where it takes them a second to reach their potential. We see them come in and be productive immediately, and I would be shocked if any of the top three aren't immediately stars in the NFL, to be honest.
Mina, just away from the draft from a second, is the quarterback room of Jarrett Stidham, Ben DiNucci, and Zach Wilson the worst quarterback room in the history of the NFL?
Well, the history of the NFL?
Yeah.
What was their quarterback room like the COVID year when that Kendall Hinton
No,
played?
Mina, that's his move. He just says in the history of the NFL and then expects you to remember all of it. He can just do
Come on,
that.
Mina. Come on.
Mina, that's an exasperation to you. He just gives you all of history and then comes up with you actually get literal on it.
It's a really bad room, though.
It is a bad room. He just wanted to. He didn't even really.
I just wanted to say it.
He didn't even really have a question there, Mina. He just wanted to tell you that was the quarterback room.
Okay, I think it is definitely up there. Stu, let me flip it on you. Which one do you think is worse?
No, this is the worst one ever.
There you go. See, there is no worse. Mina, you can't win this game. You will always be an amateur in his game. He was just going. Weren't you giving me some stats, Stugotz, that the worst quarterbacks of the last 25 years?
Who started 30 games over their first 3 years? 3 of the 5 are New York Jets.
Yeah, poor Stugotz has been suffering for a long time. But Mina, before we get you out of here, do you feel like you've got a good grasp on what's going to happen at the top of the draft? Like, do you feel like you can say, this is what I think is going to happen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think 1, 2, 3, yes. I do think it is going to go Williams, Daniels, May. I think the question is what you asked at the top is who comes up for J.J. McCarthy. And this is a crucial kind of unknown, and I really haven't seen a lot of certainty around this at all. Whether or not a team does come up, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Raiders, probably not the Raiders, but also is predicated on whether the Giants like J.J. McCarthy. And there has been really not a lot of information about whether they would actually take McCarthy if he was available to them at 6, because if not, then what's the point of trading above him? So that to me is the biggest unknown. I don't have a good feel for it because I don't know what New York is going to do.
30 seconds or less, the Tom Brady Netflix roast.
I saw Tom Brady post something about how like young kids today are too obsessed with their branding. I feel like that's setting himself up for the roast because he's so like that's him standing under the hoop, the TB12 branded hoop. It's so obviously easy to dunk on him for that.
He's right.
Mina, good seeing you. I'm sorry if we scared you and spooked you with our music. You're going to dork out on this draft, aren't you? You're going to be
I am
goof.
so excited for this draft, Dan. Get excited, Dan. Come on. Set aside your morals.
I don't know if Zaslow feels the way that I do about this, but when I hear Goldie or Bob Wischusen on goal calls, when I'm listening to playoff hockey, and when I hear South Florida talent being the voices for sports, that are there at the exciting times.
You know who I heard during the Islanders Hurricanes game on ESPN? Roxy Bernstein.
Yeah.
Roxy Bernstein, who went from doing Ballers games, now he's doing national
Huge
hockey.
Miami contingent of broadcasters, play-by-play, who are all over the place now. It's cool.
And listening to the goal calls, I'm going to give you 3 goal calls. I don't want to put the pressure on all of you to pick one from among them, but what I'm telling you is one of the coolest things in sports and in playoff anything is when your sports voices are really regionally connected and you can hear the emotion as they take you home from an overtime game and you know enough to know, oh, I've been listening to that dude for 20 years down here. This is his dream job, to have that job in the South Florida market and call these games for a great team, because this team has been this organization has been so hard to support and cover for so long. For him to survive every regime, your mark, for him to survive all the regimes and be calling these games, play for me, please, the sound of Goldie last night, sending people home.
Kachuk spins. Lundell in the slot in front. The chance. Let's go home, baby! It's Mr. Clutch. Carter Verhaeghe for the Game 2 win.
Buttered toast is what they call him. And again, the overtime winner. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
Buttered toast?
That's what they call Verhaeghe, apparently.
Is that a hockey thing? Or?
I've never heard him call that, but that was Randy Moeller on the color analyst side there.
Randy Moeller, our beloved Randy Moeller.
Can I just tell you about Randy Moeller real quick? Because I did the Panther games 2009 and 2010. I was in the studio with Moeller for 2 seasons. Oh, they were terrible. And Moeller, I feel so good for Moeller. Like, I know, obviously, Goldie as well. But I feel so good for Moeller because he cares so much about that team, about that organization. He was there through the years when he was doing play-by-play as a former player with no experience, did play-by-play on the radio side and then transitioned to television, eventually replacing Denny Potvin. Moeller cares so much. It's one of the reasons I hated Michael Yormark so much, because Moeller almost died. Like, he had a medical episode at one of the games, and just all the pressure that tyrant was essentially, Moeller cares so much, and it's really cool that both of them, Randy and Goldie, are part of this now.
Billy is not in traffic. I'm looking at video here. I wanted him in traffic that was a pretty egregious sin there. Billy has been an anarchist in special ways this week, and I think he's projecting because of everything Stugotz is putting him through. He is descending into madness, and I think he wants to be in traffic because I don't think he wants to get to the pressure of tomorrow night when he has to count on Stugotz to bring it for 4 hours, and he can't trust him to get there, never mind know anything about the draft.
Not a ton of traffic on Biscayne today.
He looks bored.
He's not in traffic. He's eating potato chips like a pelican, shoveling them in a guy. He looks like he's comfortable out there being paid by the company to do nothing. It's the penalty is walk in traffic for what it is you did. Walk in the traffic.
I hope the chips aren't salt and vinegar.
Ugh.
They were.
Can end up in a bad situation.
They were.
Can you give us some Randy Moeller goal calls? He was so nice to us doing goal calls that our listeners were suggesting.
Here comes Booth down the other way. Throws it over the far side. Shoots. He scores! Stephen Weiss takes the feed from David Booth and puts it top shelf where Mrs. Moeller keeps the peanut butter.
David Booth.
No, that's not what I wanted, Chris. I wanted Randy Moeller doing goal calls for our entire show.
Where Mrs. Moeller keeps her peanut butter?
Oh, no, that's what he
not for
usually
us.
does.
That's a
but that wasn't for
go-to
us.
Moeller line.
Chris, are you
That
not
sounded fun to me. I don't
Chris,
know.
are you not aware of what our show's
I know he's done.
history
I know
is
he's done
with
pop,
Randy Moeller?
Yes, pop culture references. I thought that was
Come
just
on,
one of them.
Chris. We all know the show's history with Randy Moeller.
What is Billy doing?
Pacing.
Not in the street.
How is this my executive team? Who's drilling?
Who's drilling?
We've got another goal call. Bob Wischusen also came up from South Florida, although he's different. He is not, I don't know, did he rise to this moment with emotion because of any of South Florida that he has in him? Because to know the history of this team is to feel it when these goals are scored. Let's hear the Wischusen call.
Nice spin move by Kachuk. Freed up to Lundell on the doorstep. Holding. Shot. Score! Verhaeghe does it again in the playoffs. The Rats fly, and Game 2 belongs to the Panthers.
That's what I'm talking about.
At the moment.
Who is his teammate there?
I think it was
Ryan Callahan?
Ryan Callahan is his color analyst last night. Yeah.
Now we've got a third goal call for you, and this man evidently is a plague in Tony's life. I did not know this before I mentioned that I wanted the 3 goal calls on that Panther. What happened with you and Doug Plagans?
No,
Plagans.
No, Doug Plagans is a great guy, consummate professional, excellent in what he does. As you're
He's
going to
really
hear from his
good.
goal call, he's excellent. My issue, Dan, is when I was a producer way back when in WQAM, I was tasked with being the board up for Panther games when I was on the schedule. So anytime I would see a Panther game, I knew it was going to be a late night. Obviously, sometimes the game started at 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock, depending on where they are. And then
The bowels of radio. You're doing the bowels of radio.
It's me and Kevin Rogers, and I'm staring at Kevin Rogers in the studio. He's doing halftime or 2 halftimes or whatever.
But you're living in the gutter of radio.
I'm literally living in the QAM studios on 441 across the street from Tootsie's, and I'm like,
You'll never make it in this business, kid. This is the bowels of it. K. Rogers doing the halftime report.
halftime report, sometimes Dono, shout out to Alex Dono. But I would sit there, and we would have to go in and out of breaks, of commercials, Doug talking back and forth. And then for some reason, every time I was on the schedule, the Panthers would always have an overtime. And I'm like, guys, this makes my life a living hell because it's another 45 minutes. And
Free
I have to
hockey.
be here. It sucked. I hated it. So anytime that the Panthers were going to overtime, I have this PTSD. Anytime I hear Doug Plagans' voice, I also have PTSD.
Can you play the goal calls for me? Because Randy Moeller tried to make it entertaining for us. Hockey on the radio. Poor Tony was dying in these studios, working in the porta potty of our radio business, just doing half times. And Zaslow was doing late nights. Zaslow was doing... can you imagine a Portland game going into overtime and Zaslow's got to get up for the morning show?
Oh, my God. A Heat game. Because I used to do mornings. We were on at 5:30 a.m. When a Heat game, when I was on the broadcast and a Heat game would go to overtime, oh, my God. I want to jump out the window.
Seriously, it's one of the worst things in broadcasting is overtime. People are like, yeah, free hockey, free basketball. You're like, no, God, I have
Where
to run.
grandma keeps the good stuff.
You're not doing
Still
this
not-
right.
no, he's still not doing
You
it right,
still don't know how to do this correctly. And Billy's not walking in traffic. He's walking on the crosswalk. I don't know what Billy's
Billy
doing.
on the street.
Say hello to my little friend.
He did. We have.
Does he need to like dodge a car like Frogger for you to be happy?
If there's any person in this world that I would love to throw a bucket of hot grease on, it's you.
Wow.
That was on a goal call?
I'm emptying the clip right here.
Yeah, but you're finding none of the things that I've wanted. There's not a single one of them. We have 7 or 8 goal montages of his goal calls saying phrases in honor of our audience. It's only one of the most famous things we've ever done.
Randy Moeller's got a huge pair of L's in his name.
I like this one better.
Keep playing whatever you got in there. None of this is what I'm requesting.
Spell Randy Moeller.
From the spelling bee.
Spelling bee. Wow.
Yeah, from the spelling bee.
RANDYMOELLER.
You were
Randy
doing
Moeller.
the opposite of all of the entertaining things that I wanted.
This is helpful. Now I know who we're finally talking about.
Can I get the Doug Plagans goal call, please? That'd be
Wall on
great.
the near side, Lilleberg trying to poke it away from Chuck, loose out front. Backhand try, and they score! Carter Verhaeghe upstairs, and this one's over! The Panthers win it in overtime! 3-2 the final! Carter Verhaeghe, the game winner!
I'm on the goddamn Dan Le Batard Show.
Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are. You are brushing your teeth on the goddamn Dan Le Batard Show. They are pearly. Thank you, Paul. I think it'd be funny if we created this character for you, where you gave all your takes super clean with a toothpaste sponsor because you want to present your hot takes on the Boston Celtics. You want them to gleam, to sparkle. Thank you for being on with us. I now have two co-hosts who have walked out in protest because they are such big Miami Heat fans. And
my God. Oh, yeah, where the old boy at? What's his name? That gave the bit the last time? Where Ruiz at?
Yeah, Mike Ryan Ruiz is afraid of you, and Zaslow just left too. We'll have interactions between you two.
Where the motherfucker Ruiz at? Bring his ass on here.
Where's the motherfucker Ruiz is a great question.
He running, huh? He running today, huh? I'm ready.
Yes, the hatred for you is strong in Miami. You delight in this, correct? You were a professional troll and you got to play at the highest of competition against the best. You take pride that Miami still hates you, correct?
Oh yeah, I just retweeted the game winner I hit on them in 2010. You know what I'm saying? So we got no love for Miami. So it is what it is. I bleed green. Y'all know what it is. So that's what it is.
The game winner was super cool. Then what happened after that, the next few years?
Wow.
What you mean what happened the next few years? Oh, y'all called it up each other. Y'all called up the Avengers. Y'all called the Avengers up.
Mm-hmm. That's not what happened in Boston?
No, we didn't do that.
That was the branding.
Y'all had to bring the Avengers to the planet because we was destroying everything.
Mm-hmm. Just following Boston's lead.
A villainous swig from the coffee. Look, man, he played at the top of the sport, and that feeling. Right. You're talking about Game 5.
This was 14 years ago. Yesterday, the 23rd. Oh, yep. Step back. Wop, 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 wop.
What?
The truth.
Play the other one. Play the other one. That I hit on LeBron.
All right.
What about that one?
All right, hold on a second. You're talking about Game 5. We'll get that for you. Yeah, we're talking.
Play that one.
Well, now we're doing greatest hits.
No, we're not doing this.
For that
no, we won't play that.
That Ruiz.
Yeah, where he at?
No, let's allow Paul Pierce to do some play-by-play commentary on one of the most famous shots of his career. We'll get it in a second, Paul.
All right, there we go.
Because I just yelled at David Sampson a second ago. I understand that you live a life of great riches and entitlement, but the videos you want on a moment's notice, even though you can do it on the internet, our video team has not yet found it. Chris, why are you panicked?
Who's David Sampson?
What?
They said 30 seconds they'll have it for us. But before we get to you doing play-by-play of that with your pearly white teeth, please just explain to me the level, because Boston and Miami are playing right now. What level of joy? What level of joy do you get from what you're...
Hey, look. You see how I called for Ronald to pick to get LeBron on me? You see that?
What?
They had that. Wop. Yeah, let's play it. Yeah.
Dan, that's
where Ruiz at?
Where's he at?
Look. Hey, put a hand up. Put a hand up. Wop. Come on now. Hey, where Ruiz at?
How is Mars, Truth?
What?
How is Mars? Your stars on Mars.
Oh, that was amazing, dog. Yeah, that was a good experience. Did you watch it? You got to watch it. We was on Mars. Trying to explore a new habitat just in case this happens one day.
In case what happens?
See, they only can bring people like me on Mars. You know what I'm saying? Y'all wouldn't survive.
You and Marshawn, you're running the house.
Who is this? Billy Gil? Gil what? It's just Gil?
Yeah.
What's the rest of it?
What?
His last name is Gil.
Where's the rest of the name? It's just Gil.
That's it.
You want okay? What do you want?
Gil.
You want some?
I mean Gilbert or Gillian or it's just Gil.
Guillermo. Something. He wants more. He
Something.
wants more name. He wants more
I
name.
thought more name. I thought it had more name to it.
What is the nature of your feelings toward Miami? Those scars, have they healed? Because when you fight, I just talked to Joakim Noah about this yesterday. He's still mad about things from 15 years ago because he cared unreasonably about performing in front of people. You were playing at the top of the sport. You're a Hall of Famer. You've survived a stabbing. Like you are a man whose story is
I've been to Mars.
Is championship worthy. Your hatred for Miami is the strongest of the sports hatreds you have?
It's up there with New York too. It's up Miami, New York, Lakers. It's only a few. You know, you see, this is what's not in sports anymore, Dan. You know, because that is what people wanted to see. The hatred, the rivalry, the competitive spirit. And, you know, I just don't see that no more. Like, guys, like, there's no way I would knock Wade or LeBron down or then grab their hand and pick them up. You know, now everybody is hugs after the game. And I'm not saying I hate them, you know, but it's just all in the spirit of the game. Like, if I saw them out in public, it wouldn't be it'd be like, oh man, it's respect. You know, like when we go to the All-Star game, I'm shaking their hands and I'm giving them love, but like in the spirit of the game, in the spirit of competition and of rivalry, that's just what it was when we was on the court.
But you sound like an old head, and you haven't shaken hands with Udonis. Like, I don't mean to make it about the smallest of things, but you guys, if Udonis, what is this happening? Oh, look, now Ruiz is here.
Hey,
Wait a minute. Now,
Oh, is that Ruiz right there?
Yeah.
That's him?
Yeah. Yes, that's Ruiz. You can argue with Ruiz. You guys.
You got to brush off, Dano.
I feel like it's that scene in Bring It On.
Hey, bro, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
I ain't backing down, Paul. I ain't backing.
doing it
Calling
right.
me out.
Yeah, I'm
calling me out. I'm not in there once. You're familiar with the number one, right? It's the only title you've ever won. One.
Bro, you know what number one stands for? Down 1 right now. Miami versus Boston, 0-1.
Wow.
Flat track
0-1.
bully. I'm sure you celebrate your pre-LeBron series win over Miami too. You're a big disappointment, Paul Pierce. I'm only upset right now that I don't get to do this in person, Paul Pierce.
Hey, how disappointed is it to be a Miami fan right now?
Brother, actually, you make a really great point.
How disappointed is it to be a play-in team every year and hope that Jimmy Butler somehow has put his Superman cape on and hopefully carry y'all to the finals? How disappointed is? How is that? Just hope. You guys have hope. That's it.
Well, I mean, Paul, they also have Eastern Conference championships because they've beaten.
No, we don't wait. I don't want to hear no goddamn Eastern Conference championship. Nobody cares
really?
about that.
You don't want to hear about Eastern Conference championships? You want to hear about 3 rings?
We don't talk about Eastern Conference championships in Boston because we want to put that up. We probably got about 30 of those.
Yeah.
But we don't raise those banners in Boston, homie. We only raise championships.
You got
the
only banners that you got, Paul, are when people used to wear belts around their socks.
No,
you got no champion. Yes,
Belts around
you don't raise
socks.
Eastern Conference championship banners because in my lifetime, what do you got? 3? How long you been alive? How long you been alive? How many
Hey,
Celtic
man.
championships have you seen?
Hey,
when
man, you
been
need to
alive?
line up your wannabe Travis Kelce beard up. Come on, dog.
Oh,
you need to line that up, bro. Hey, line that wannabe Travis Kelce. Go get his barber so he can get you right.
Paul, did he invent the fade?
I did.
See, pull your hat off. Let me see what you got going on, dog.
Oh,
No,
boy.
no. Wait a second. Wait a second. I think you and I see the same colorist, by the way, Paul. I'm looking at that. That is suspiciously dark, Paul Pierce.
Y'all crazy, man.
Keep ducking me.
No, I ain't ducking you. As a matter of
Keep
fact, I need
ducking
to
me,
fly. Yeah,
Paul.
look at that. Let me see what y'all arena look like.
Are you
Look,
serious?
let me see.
Are you
Put a picture of
serious?
y'all
Are you
arena
taking
look
credit
like.
for the 1947?
Hey, man, listen.
You
History
beat
is
the
history.
Acme Packers. What are you
Show
talking
some
about?
respect for the forefathers. Show some respect for the history of the game. Show some respect to the pioneers of the game of basketball.
Yeah. Our arena's LEED certified, I'll have you know.
Nah, man, nah.
You've been alive for one championship. Now, granted, you were on that championship team.
I watched Boston versus Celtics growing up in LA.
You watch
I
Boston
want to hear
versus
that.
the
Yeah.
Celtics.
It's because you hey, listen, dog. Hey, that's not gonna work, bro. You can't be like me. You gotta have the small one first of all.
Okay.
The small one. And
That is
it got built-in toothpaste in it. You just brushing yours.
All right,
You ain't got
this was an
the new one.
excellent brush off. Look, I'm here for this as weekly episodes. If you guys want to do a brush off, I'm here for it. Check out new episodes of The Truth Lounge with Paul Pierce every Friday on the Draft Krings Network and at all the Smoke Productions on YouTube. You got anything else, motherfucking Ruiz, or you done?
Yeah, get motherfucking Ruiz up out of here. They down 0-1. They about to go down 0-2 tonight, and your season gonna be over in the next 4 days.
I only pay attention
what?
to hockey, Paul Pierce, and that's the truth.
Oh, I dropped mine. Damn.
I enjoyed doing today's show. It was nostalgic for me with Zaslow, but I want to bring in our best critic, Juju, here, because if I have some self-examination to do today, I don't think I talked nearly enough about Siakam taking over that team from Halliburton and putting Milwaukee in a questionable spot. So give me just some basketball analysis. I don't think we did enough of it off of last night because Dallas won a huge game against the Clippers team nobody trusts. And those two playoff teams, Juju, Milwaukee and the Clippers, are the two teams that you look at and you say, maybe they win a championship, but I don't trust them.
Right. They exactly what happened last night is why the Clippers are sometimes considered fool's gold, in my opinion. Salute to the Brody, salute to Kawhi and the LA guys, but Paul George, playoff P. I mean, we need him to do a little bit more. Now, salute the playoff P for hitting that shot at the buzzer. That covered a lot of bets across the nation of these United States of America with DraftKings.com. But you're going to need to do a little bit more than that in the playoffs. And I feel like the pressure that Luka and Kyrie was feeling to be the men in that game one, P.J. Washington, even Lively stepped up. The supporting cast was what helped the Mavericks last night get across the hump. And the supporting cast from the Clippers, they just fell up a little short.
Are you getting mad at the referees dragging everything into the mud?
Yes, I am. It's like, bruh, we can see the calls from here. I don't know where Secaucus or whatever the calls going back to New Jersey, Tom Haberstroh. Like, we need the calls to come in quicker, like as quick as possible. Because who cares about the time matters, but not as much. Bro, put 10 extra seconds up just for the inconvenience.
You're really changing the rules there. What are you nodding back there to, Chris Cody? Juju's coming in here and he's changing the entire replay center, and he's stealing the idea from Haberstroh. But it's not stolen. When you credit him, it's not stolen.
Now, I was just saying, I don't know who they call on the booth to talk to. I don't know if he's in the booth or what. I'm not sure if this is his idea or not, but salute to my brother wherever he is.
All right, you were just saluting.
All
right, you were just saluting Haberstroh because you thought it was good to salute him there. Fair enough.
Yeah.
What did we do well and what did we do poorly today?
Man, first off, I missed yesterday, and so I want to say to Mark out there at Le Batard Show fan, happy birthday, brother. One of our biggest supporters out there. That's a blight on our end. We didn't bring up that brother yesterday.
All right, hold on just a second. Hold on.
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
The highest honor, absolutely. And today, I mean, no. I'm gonna stay on yesterday because accountability. Here I am. I preach accountability. I was wrong, Dan. The audience has let me know I do not get the show. They love their sports talk, but they also love the hijinks as well. And I'm coming to Miami tonight, and the first thing I'm gonna do tomorrow on the show is I'm gonna walk my ass to that Ocean Kaseya Center in traffic because I was wrong. Audience, you were right. I apologize. Accountability.
But what are you apologizing for? I don't even understand what's happening.
No, I said that the show could stand more sports takes and more sports. And the audience in my mentions was like, Jew, we love you, but we like the hijinks. We actually do want to hear about the cupcakes, and we do want to hear them fake argue. So,
no,
excuse me.
It's not. No, but you've got us fake arguing when we have some genuine office politics that some people can relate to because funny personalities spill into the crevices here. Did you hear today, Chris Cody, how he's yelling at somebody in a road rage incident? Like, cheaters never prosper. How does that feel to you as trash talk?
Terrible trash talk. It's been a lot of trash talk, bro. I mean, I know it's in the spur of the moment. If that's what you had, it wasn't terrible. So
it wasn't good.
Terrible.
It wasn't.
It's
good.
an old man I'm arguing with.
Right, it
old.
wasn't fighting words, is what I mean. It wasn't like something that was gonna get that brother out his truck and on your ass. So I think that it was just good enough.
Can you guys get for me the video that we did not get to during the show today that I meant to of Udonis Haslem talking about the toughness of Goran Dragic? I want to play this video for Juju before we get out of here. But so you've apologized to the audience. And no, but see, Juju, this is the thing. Look, we've got a tension around here. People want the show that they want. So right now, Miami Heat fans want us to do a certain kind of show, and people who love our show are tired of Heat talk. They don't want any more Heat talk. They've done too much Heat talk, but I'm going to do the show I want to do, and that's the show that our guys and our people want to do, outside of Jessica, who wants to hate on the Heat, and then everyone can laugh at our tears. But let's play this video real quick for Juju before I ask him a couple of more questions. Here's Udonis Haslem talking about Goran Dragic.
This got his tooth knocked out. Was it Atlanta? Atlanta and Detroit. Detroit, when I got it, they threw it to the ref. You remember? He threw his tooth. This motherfucker threw his tooth at the ref. That's when I said I like this. I was like, I like this. I was dribbling. The goon. I was dribbling, and the guy hit me with his elbow. I'm like, oh god damn it! So I spit the tooth in my hand, and I showed the ref, my call a foul and throw the tooth. Throw his tooth at the ref. That's what I was like. I was like 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. I'm with this bro.
Salute to the OG, man. You gotta love it, man. Gotta love it.
Any other critiques? What did we do poorly today, Juju?
Oh, my God. I thought you would never ask. Salute to my brother. You are my brother in Christ and whoever else you believe in. But Roy is a damn liar. He is the biggest lie that has come out of Florida today. I don't know if Trump done said something today or not, but so far, Roy is the biggest liar on today's date. What's today's date? The April 24th in Florida. Roy is the biggest liar of to date. I don't give a damn if you bring your ass in here or not. Look,
How so?
Because how in the hell are you in overtime against your Tampa Bay Lightning?
Not mine.
Look, you know what I mean. Look, you were deflecting already. How are you in overtime against them and you don't feel no kind of nervousness, no kind of pressure at all? You just even killed. And then you say when the Panthers win, you give a little, man, I beg to differ. The chicken should have came out on your ass then, John.
Juju, we won the last 11 overtime games. I'm
and
cool.
And you lost the last 100 World Stanley Cups. So I don't give a damn what you say. You're nervous in that overtime. This is your opportunity.
We've been in 2 Stanley Cup finals.
What's happening?
How old was Claire in those 2?
Claire was negative.
Exactly. I rest my case, Dan.
Okay, and this is a problem though, Juju, because the chickens need to come out on Roy. Roy is a sociopath as a sports fan.
In general.
No, but it doesn't make any sense. If playoff hockey doesn't move you, you are a rock that does not have emotion.
Right.
Listen, I keep everything internal. All right. You never know my mood when you see me. All right,
brother. You got a hockey show. We need that emotion to transfer into some viral clips. Or this hockey show can take off the ground.
We're
you
working
can't
on
be
it.
too stoic. You gotta get the folks what they want, brother.
We're working
Your
on it,
emotion.
No, Roy, I think that Juju is right that when he clamors, you're sitting here apologizing for something that I hear that is more and more of a critique of our show, Juju, that the show doesn't care about sports the correct way. That that you have to care as if you're dying with sports, and Roy's out here saying playoff hockey, no, I'm immune.
Right. What is that? What
That's
are you
me.
saying?
That's me as a person in general. That's me, stoic Roy Bellamy. That's me.
Soulless.
I don't show.
Soulless.
I mean, I have a soul.
You don't have a soul.
I woke up today.
I
as a
can't
Christian.
believe I'm listening to this black on black crime, and I'm accusing you of not having a soul.
It's criticism, Dan.
You don't have a soul.
You don't. It's settled. You don't have a soul. Moving on. Transition.
All right, see
the
you guys
last
later.
thing I would. You're soulless. But with friends like y'all, who needs enemies? Holy moly. Y'all done exposed Stugotz's deepest, darkest crimes
that one hurt.
on
That
air.
one hurt. That one
I'm
hurt.
listening. I'm like, oh my
No,
goodness,
that hurt.
stop.
That hurt.
I regret.
my
I regret
goodness.
reading the third line.
Yes, yeah.
She was. You guys accused me of doing it without her knowledge.
No.
She was aware of it, but I do just feel
Juju,
bad.
No, I'm and you know what's going to happen there, right? He's going to get his feelings hurt, and guess whose fault it's going to be? Guess
Yours.
whose fault that one's going to be?
Sorry, Dano.
Yeah, great.